This is the GPL podcast from GopherPuckLive.com. This podcast is sponsored by Jerry Peters and First Class Mortgage. Our expertise, your peace of mind. Visit us at firstclassmortgage.com. Now let's start the show with your hosts, Jupiter and Vigo. Good evening and welcome to the GPL podcast, episode number 203. And Vigs, fun weekend in North Dakota. Yippee skippy. They win Friday night. We're like, everything's solved. It wasn't quite that way. It seems like the Saturday night ended up being kind of a partial Friday night for a little bit there. And maybe that's just Grand Forks. Maybe that's just Ralph Engelstad. What do you think here?
I mean, that's a little bit college hockey. When you beat a team on Friday, you have to expect the team on Saturday to come out stronger, and you have to bring a tougher game, perhaps.
Yeah. And
it was one of those situations where I thought Minnesota didn't play mentally the worst game of the year, but they weren't in it. And they still had chances to get back in the game, but it just didn't happen. So split for the weekend. Once again, I am right on my prediction. I predicted a Friday night win, Saturday night loss.
Well, our guest tonight has kind of been in this situation quite a few times. Wouldn't you think, Viggs?
Maybe a fair time.
Maybe a fair amount of times. Well, our guest tonight is former Gopher Jack Ramsey, and there he is. Jack, thank you for joining us on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. I don't even get in, and you guys are taking somewhat shots of a few years ago, but I completely agree with you.
Hey, we know you're a hockey guy. Hockey guys rip other hockey guys. It's just sort of the whole community thing. It's all about fun for us. And, it's always been fun with you. We've been going back and forth on Twitter for quite a few years here, just having fun. And I'm just glad you could join us for the show as a former Gopher. And you're our second kind of recent former Gopher, one of your good friends, Mr. Shearhorn, was on not too long ago, and he was saying a lot of bad things about you.
That doesn't surprise me at all. one of the former teammates that I'm still close to. I mean, I talked with him on the phone today about 25, 30 minutes. Don't even talk about hockey, which is the cool thing too. But yeah, Eric's one of a kind. I'm sure he has some special things to say about me.
No, he was actually pretty kind. So, Viggs and I are talking, heading up to Grand Forks, not an easy thing. That crowd is crazy. Minnesota did actually a pretty good job keeping them quiet this weekend. But you've been in those situations. You come out great Friday night, you win the game, win pretty nice. Second game, there's just nothing there. And you've been there. I mean, how does that really happen? Because it's, sometimes people say it's on the players. No, it's on the coach. It's just a lot of things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough to pin it on anybody, and I wouldn't pin it on anybody because you feel so prepped going. Like, you win a Friday game, you're going into Saturday, you feel prepped, you have the same exact game plan, and like Saturday night, you're 10 minutes in and you don't have a shot on net, and you have no idea what's going on. You start panicking, and it's just things start to slip away from you. Obviously, on Saturday, they kind of came back in it and didn't let it slip away from them. But sometimes you just don't know what's going on, and it just gets away.
Well, I think one of the things that stood out to me, we talked to Matt Stoddard this week. He talked about how a big key for them was keeping it simple as a defensive core, getting back on puck retrievals, getting the puck to the wall, letting the forwards battle for the puck at the wall, chip it out of the zone, and then use your speed to get behind the other team's defense. I think what the big difference was on Saturday is that those battles on the wall, a lot of times North Dakota was coming out on top. And for whatever reason, maybe it's the defenseman isn't getting back to the puck as quick as they were on Friday night. Maybe North Dakota's player is getting there a little bit faster. Maybe there's a little bit more effort by North Dakota saying, okay, we know it's going to the wall. Let's get there on time and not let them get it out of the zone. Same thing on the dump-ins. Pucks are going in the corner. The Gopher would get there. He'd win the puck, but that second player to maintain possession was just never there on Saturday. And I think, you look at college hockey, two good teams, two pretty equal teams. It's just that little, 1 or 2% on all these plays flips. And then all of a sudden you've got to say, okay, we've got to either match it or change it up somehow. And it just didn't happen.
Or it took too long.
And then you chase the game a little bit. I think Bob talked about that a little bit. Guys getting in situations, they're at 45, 50 seconds in their shift and they're trying to say, okay, I want to change the game. That's hard to do in college hockey at 50 seconds when your legs are already burning a little bit. And Jack, I'm sure, that mind, that clock in your head goes, I can do it. This is the last 20 minutes of the game. I can push through the weekend here.
Well, unless we were winning, I wasn't on the ice the last 20 minutes of the game. But, I going back to me, I always wanted to be that guy that was able to go 60 seconds and just, take it back up for one more rush. And you have guys like Rem Pitlick that could do that and just unlimited stamina tank. I would hit like 35 seconds, 40 seconds, no matter how much conditioning I did. I was going straight to the bench. But it's such a coaching point, and it's so easy for the coaches to see, and the players, they're not in their mind doing a bad thing, right? They want to be the hero. They want to be the team guy, and they just don't realize that it gets out of hand as soon as you start building 60-second shifts back on top of each other 5-6 times in a row. And the Nodak players are running 45-second shifts. It's going to catch up with you pretty quick, and you can see that happen.
And Viggs, Motzko has talked about it. It is a process, but it also is getting towards that time where that process needs to become a little more automatic, isn't it, Viggs?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely talking about how you can have this one perspective where a 1-goal game team is so close, but you can also think your team has this 1-goal game illness where they're always constantly doing this to themselves. And it's a variety of different things that lead up to this, but it's there and it's not being fixed, and they see it and they go, for us to be where we want to be at the end of the year, we can't have that.
And he talked about that 1-goal thing, didn't he?
Yep. And he's
you captured some audio this week. Let's play what Coach Motzko just said the other day about, hey, we're in 1-goal games, no big deal, right? Well, let's take a listen.
I was asked yesterday on the radio show, or stated that 7 losses, 6 are by 1 goal. Well, I learned a long time. You know what 1-goal losses are? They're a disease. You have to cure them. A lot of times you'll hear people around hockey or organizations or teams, saying, God, we're close, 1-goal losses. It's the opposite. And we have to, we're working forward. I think we're turning the corner in a lot of areas to rectify 1-goal losses when we have a 3-0 lead, the 2-0 lead, and 2 games were 2-1, and we couldn't score again. So it's been, I don't want to say little things, but it's been different things that have.
So it's the little things. I kind of see this almost like the Vikings, Viggs. They're close in every game, but they just don't have it to finish it off, and that's kind of what he's getting to here. It's a mentality.
It's a mentality. I asked him a little short, 20-second question, and Bob probably went on for about 4 more paragraphs of quote there where he's talking about, this is a tough schedule they've gone through. There's not a lot of room to tinker when you play the schedule that Minnesota plays. But for him to get where he wants to be in March, he's got to figure out, these 5 freshman players. He's got to figure out how to integrate them in. Cruikshank, he's trying to figure out a way to get him in the lineup. We're going to see changes, when they come back from break here, trying to find some chemistry and get some creativity at the center position and maybe get a little more responsibility as well at the center position.
Jack, you obviously had multiple coaches at the U. How was that transition from the Don to the Bob? I mean, that's tricky in any situation.
It really was. I mean, there's so many factors to it, and like off the ice, on the ice, players having different personalities and how they interact with the coaches. I think senior year, Bob might have given us more leniency as seniors and just kind of as people. with them and the coaching staff, I'd walk by their office and I'd just jump in their office and just start shooting the shit with them and just start talking with them for 20 minutes about not hockey. With with Don and Genner, I wasn't doing that. Obviously because I was younger and didn't have the confidence to do that. But yeah, it's very different, and two very different coaching styles. What the biggest thing and over my years of hockey is the biggest thing I want out of a coach is being able to make those tunes in game. You have your TV timeout. It's not time to just yell at your guys that we need to work harder. You need to get going. Do something. Look at your systems. What's not working? Do we need to change our forecheck? Do we need to change our neutral zone? Tweak something. Don't just yell at your players. So I think there's a big emotional connection that coaches really need to work.
Now, they say don't yell at your players. Obviously, if there's, I've seen the Don get really mad but that's when you're really screwing up. I mean, that's a lot different than, hey, what we're doing is not working. Let's try something different. I mean, there's probably two different instances where, yes, the players are being stupid, and then, or the players aren't doing, or it's not working against the team we're playing.
Yeah.
Would you say?
100%. Yeah, 100%. A guy makes a dumb penalty, you get in his ear and let him know. But when something's not working, yelling louder isn't going to change a thing. Telling guys to skate. Coach, I'm not going 70% out there. I'm trying to go my hardest. So just working on the systems and being able to change stuff in real time. And I think Bob did a good job of that when I was there, and I think he continues to do a good job of that.
I'm always amazed at the patience of some of these coaches. I guess a lot of people, you have that pro mentality, like, oh, this guy, let's cut the kicker, let's bring in a new one. The college coaches don't really have that option. You have to stick with the players that you have and figure out how to coach them up and figure out how to make your team as good as you can make it. Because, someone's not walking in from the classroom and going to fill your first line center spot. You're going to have to nurture somebody up from your lineup. And I know, I get a little impatient with Sammy Walker sometimes, but, he's an artist and he sees the game differently than a lot of us do. He's looking to create offense. He's looking to score. He's looking to get in transition. It's a very different mindset than like a fourth line checking player, who's just sticking to the system, playing by the book, playing exact percentages. So it's challenging because you have to figure it out. I remember I was talking to Motzko this week, and, a player who has that artistic talent, but also plays the game very intelligently. Rem Pitlick, a player who did that. A lot of skill, but also made the right decisions with his mind.
Well, we got quite a few people asking in chat, where'd you get the hat, Jack? I mean, they don't seem to find that hat on sale anywhere. Is that something from your playing days?
No, this is not. This is brand new to this summer. The Minnesota Gopher alumni golf event.
Oh,
managed to snag one of these bad boys. So yeah, limited stock. Feel free to hit me up in the DMs. It might be up for auction.
Now that's brilliant right there. Best logo ever according to Brent Hoven. I do like that old retro skating Goldie. Oh, that's kind of nice, but we have to be careful here because we get a little upset when we start talking about things that are for sale by the University of Minnesota.
Yes.
Yeah. We had a little bit of back and forth. You didn't even realize there were some of these problems, but there are. And the thing is, it's not the player's responsibility. You're just like, I just want to come to school and play.
A lot of times, it's not people in the hockey programs.
It is not at all.
It goes up a little bit higher than that. So
there's a lot of frustrations. I mean, they did do something unique last couple of years. Like those Mooger jerseys, Vigs. They sold all those, they auctioned all of them off, and I thought that was brilliant. Those were game worn jerseys. I think they need to do more of that, but there's obviously a budget for that. And Jack, you guys only get so many jerseys. I mean, it's not like you get a new jersey every year, were you?
Nope, you're not wrong about that. I think I left college with. I think I have two jerseys from college hanging up back at my parents' house, but it is limited stock, that's for sure. But it's like Christmas morning every time you get in at the beginning of the season and Grez hooks you up with the new goods.
Okay, what did you think of the 100-year look? Did you like the yellow shells?
I thought that you just hit it perfectly. Yellow. I thought it was too yellow. I liked
Too
the
yellow?
look. I liked the look, but I thought it was just too yellow.
Well, I shouldn't have said yellow. I know I used a bad word there. But it was more like those gold breezers of maybe the Wooger era Vigs. I mean, they did have those back in the day. Maybe it wasn't the right color, but I do like the idea of going with it, and they've already used them once this year.
Yeah, I think that gold is kind of a tricky thing because you want to make it light enough, and with the shells, it can just be tricky. I think it's well intentioned. I always like the diagonal Gophers in Minnesota on the unis. I think that's a great look. So I just wish they could do a little bit more of that. You know, when you see Minnesota go to North Dakota and you see all the things that North Dakota does really well and makes it look easy, you know, when they bring out Dave Christian for the last skate, last lap, you know, that's pretty cool. You know,
Yep.
You look in that crowd and you just see hockey jerseys everywhere because anyone can go get one. They can get whatever number and name they want in the shop at the rink. You know, that's kind of an NHL style building. You just kind of wish someone at Minnesota would say, okay, we're building this from the ground up again. We're going to take over that shop and make it a business and do it upright.
We can only hope, Feeks.
We could use more vintage Goldie in the world.
That is a great logo. And it's, you know, it's been around for quite a while, but it's a great logo that they use.
Yeah, I think the girls team utilizes it more, you know, now than the men's does, and the girls have some jerseys that I wish the men's would incorporate too. I wish, you know, it wouldn't be.
They've had a lot of jerseys too, and they've had a lot of nice combinations of mixing the gold, the maroon, the white. They've had. I can't argue with you there.
They don't have to spend as much as on their stick budget. You know, they don't have Vinny Lettieri's out there going through 24 sticks a year.
Do you guys ever think the Gophers should go multicolored helmets, or is that too much like Duluth?
Okay, back almost 20 years ago now, for one series, they wore dark helmets at St. Cloud. So they were maroon helmets. I remember it would have been the Leopold era. And people just ripped them.
There you go.
And that was back when they were, selling out a lot of games, and there was a little more passion, and we can't get into that. That'll be just deadly. But they did wear maroon helmets one time, and that was the one time. Do you remember that, Viggs, at all? Is that a little before your day?
Might be right in my high school days, right there. But I think you get tricky when you start messing with the uniforms of the tradition. You have kind of your old timers who are very traditional with everything, and then what's most important is like, what do the current players want? What do they like? I think, you know, if your current players are happy and they maybe play with a little pep in their step, it's probably worth it to explore whatever they're interested in.
I mean, we've seen that change just, you know, with you, Jack, once during your tenure there, the introductions completely changed at Mariucci. It went from full lights up, skate on, to lights and sounds and, you know, lights out and spotlights and everything. So they've changed quite a bit. They're obviously kind of limited by some of the things at Mariucci. I mean, they got some old lights up there that take, 3 minutes just to come on. So, But they did at least try to make some changes in your era when you were playing.
Yeah, no, I agree. The one thing I missed, I think we did it only freshman year, was skating out with no helmets on. Like the closest you can feel to a badass, to like a professional hockey player, skating around Mariucci with no helmet on, and that was the coolest. But I think I might have made starting lineup, I don't know, 2-3 times. But like those are some of my favorite memories. Like,
and I've got some great photos because you guys would leave your helmets right on the edge of the boards there, and they're all lined up there. I got some great photos of that. But obviously, when Butch died after falling, it's a shame, but it completely makes sense. I mean, and as you know, it could be just a little thing. You could be skating around, you trip over a stick and hit your head. It like you said, you've fallen a billion times on skates. and you can imagine hitting your head on that ice without a helmet, and it's like it's over. It really could be.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand it, but on the other hand, I'm sad that after every time you guys come out, you're just lining up your helmets, and coming out without them on. I must agree, I kind of like that. So things change too much. What can you do? Well, if you guys have any questions for us, I see quite a few questions in the chat. Make sure you speak up. Oh, Vonner says, I remember the maroon helmet, so I don't remember. I'm not the only one who remembers that. But first, we need to hear from our sponsor before we start previewing this weekend at Michigan.
Hey, fellow GPLers, Jerry Peters here from First Class Mortgage. Have you refinanced your home in the last 12 months? If you haven't, chances are you should. Record low interest rates and skyrocketing home values make this the perfect time to remove monthly PMI while improving your interest rate at the same time. You can also use the equity in your home to finance those home improvement projects. Or you can consolidate high interest rate credit cards into one new low monthly payment. To hear more, call or text me today at 612-940-3291. You can email me at jerry@firstclasscorp.com. Or you could go to firstclassmortgage.com to fill out a free online application. Mention the GPL podcast and receive a $300 closing cost credit. Some restrictions do apply. First Class Mortgage's NMLS number is 322842 -480200. This is not an agreement to lock into an interest rate under Minnesota law. First Class Mortgage is an equal housing lender.
All right, we're going to hit the questions up here, Jack. We've got Corey asking, can we ask Jack the best player he ever played against? He's guessing Kyle Connor, but who'd you play against best player? Who's the best player you ever played with?
Well, I mean, playing against, Kyle Connor, definitely up there because I played against him for, an actual season, long period of time. When I was in Bantams, though, I did play my Minnetonka Bantam A team played Shattuck, and McKinnon was on that team.
Oh,
and I'll never forget. We lost like 7-2, which at the end of the game we thought that was pretty good for us. I managed to score a goal, no look, backhand 5-hole.
Nice.
But I do remember, and I'll never forget this. I had McKinnon lined up in the neutral zone, and I was a first year Bantam. I was like, I'm gonna run this guy over. Put my best into him, tried to smoke him, and ran me over like a brick wall. And I was 6 feet tall in, first year Bantam. I was way bigger than everybody else, and that never happened. And that guy's a different breed. So I'll never forget that.
That's kind of hard. That's kind of hard to compete with there.
Yeah.
Got to imagine there were a few scouts at that game, and you're probably just thinking, backhand 5-hole. Yeah, I'm making a little name for myself in this one.
Is playing like the guys at Shattuck and the guys that come out of Shattuck, though, they're shooting the puck 20 miles an hour faster than I was. They're taking slap shots. I couldn't even take a slap shot at the age of 13, 14 still, but I
still can't. So.
There you go.
No, I even took my team when I was coaching a little bit. We went and played like the Shattuck C team, just so our players could get the experience of coming down to that building and seeing everything, and you see the banners of all the pros there, and just the hockey factory that is Shattuck. It was a cool experience.
There you go. Well, Puckhound's got a question, but I'm actually going to throw it. He goes, "How was it growing up being Mike's son?" But I kind of want to throw a twist. How is it growing up being Rachel's brother?
I knew that was gonna. So,
because. The sister's got quite a few NCAA titles.
100%, and I get that all the time. Every single year, we do Secret Santa for the team, and every year without fail, whoever got me one of the presents would be a flashlight to step out of my sister's shadow. So, I think I got it 4 years in a row, and I expected it. I mean, went to 4 national championships, won 3. Was it they went 41-0 or 42-0?
Yeah.
I was like, whatever.
I mean, that era of women's hockey at Minnesota, it'll be. I mean, come on, 41-0. I remember I was at the Frozen Four for that, and actually, They were playing North Dakota to get to the Frozen Four right before one of your games. And it went to like 3 overtimes. And it was just an amazing event, amazing arena. And I would say, obviously, your sister's a great hockey player, but she was also there at a time where, wow, there's a lot of great players there.
Oh my gosh. Just so many Olympians, like so many All-Americans. Like those girls are unbelievable players. Definitely should get a little more light shined on them, the value that they bring over there. So, I mean, you talking about Ritter too, that was one of my dreams. I always wanted to play a men's game at Ritter. You get 3,000 fans in Mariucci. It's a pretty sad sight to see when you're playing, somebody at home. So if we could have packed 5,000 in Ritter, that would have been dream come true.
I like Ritter. I've covered quite a few games there. I'd love sitting up. The suite level might be the best seat in any arena I've ever been to. You're hanging over the benches almost. You're on top of everything. It's just a great place to watch a game. And I've always said Mariucci is a great place to watch a game. If Mariucci's full, wow. And I've always loved Mariucci's just flat out for the sight lines. It's a very high bowl. You're up and over the glass very quickly, unlike a lot of arenas. So just purely watching a game, I've always loved the sight lines at Mariucci. And we're pretty fortunate with some of the facilities we do have. Obviously, things are going to be changing hopefully soon, right, Viggs?
Yeah, hopefully as soon as we can figure out what the budget's going to look like coming out of the pandemic. They've got the paper approval to move ahead whenever Mark Coyle signs off on it, because they are not going to have to fundraise to do the Shrink the Rink. They're just going to be able to use university funds. So I don't think the timeline is going to be very far on that. Bob really likes the smaller rink. I almost think it would be interesting to see them play their Big Ten game, assuming they get home ice at Ritter, because it's been kind of tricky for them to sell a lot of tickets for that series. Wisconsin moved a couple of their games last year across the street into the women's rink. So, if they can go LeBron, I don't think there's any reason why the Gophers couldn't go over to Ritter if they really want to, other than TV.
Would that have been your last year when Michigan came to town for that Big Ten playoff, Jack? There was nobody.
When it was just my mom and dad and sisters in the rink. When I could hear I'd hit somebody and I'd hear my mom screaming. Super cool, but not what you want to hear.
No.
It was such a disaster. I was in the press box and I took a full picture of the rink at drop, and it has over 200,000 views on Twitter. And I had Pat Micheletti coming over to me saying, "Why are you posting this?" I'm like, "There's frustration."
Yeah, shine light on it.
And I try, and we're trying to, and he we've talked about it since then. And he understands that. He's just like, it just makes the school look so bad. And
the other complicating thing was it kind of shined a light on it for the Big Ten, because at the time the Big Ten set the ticket prices. So even though Minnesota wanted to lower the price for that game, the Big Ten's like, no. Would you charge this much for the regular season? You can just charge that for the playoff, because all that money, all that revenue gets split up among the league. They weren't going to let them, kind of dodge that somehow. And the Big Ten goes, oh, maybe we do have something here that's going on. Because I just don't think the Big Ten is as engaged with hockey as they need to be. And when we look at what the NCHC does and Josh Fenton, and what your old coach Don Lucia is doing now with the CCHA, it takes that much effort, I think, to keep the league going and healthy.
That's 100% true. Like all those leagues, hockey is forefront. Big Ten, definitely not forefront. Hockey is probably the third sport. Not probably. It is the third sport.
It might be fourth or fifth. You look at some of the ratings that volleyball and wrestling's getting right now with some of the people they have competing on those, and the Big Ten, I think, is almost paying more attention to those sports than they are men's hockey.
Oh boy, we get Big Mistake watching, and he's already like, "Did I hear Big Mistake?"
I was going to say, yeah, I've seen that name a few times.
And you were there. I mean, there's nothing that you could have done. It was when Penn State started playing, just just before you came on, it was gonna happen. Yeah, it sucks. We have beaten it like a dead horse here, and we can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't need to pile onto it.
There you go, Viggs. Just got his PS. Oh, jeez. Oh boy, Viggs. Viggs taking control of the broadcast right there, folks.
Sometimes I don't know how to make it go away, though.
You just hit it again.
I'm not going to have my PhD in StreamYarding just yet. I'm still at the undergraduate level.
Well, one of the questions here for you, Jack, is from Jared Klein. He's been around here forever. What's your favorite visiting rink to play at and why? I mean, the Gophers heading to Yost this weekend. I bet you Yost was a fun rink to go to.
Very, very fun. What they call them, the children of Yost,
Mm-hmm.
Their student section. Going around in warm-ups, they had whiteboards, and every time I probably shot 5 pucks in warm-ups. I was more focused on the student section, so they're doing their job, I guess. But they would just have ever-changing whiteboards, and you'd go by and they'd have something saying something about Tyler Sheehy's girlfriend or something about Tommy Novak's Halloween costume. I'm like, how the hell do they know this stuff? Like, and it was pretty good. But my favorite to play in was probably Amsoil. Not a lot of success there, but I think that was my second college game was up there, and I was in the penalty box like an hour before, go out there to tape my stick, and their student section was full. And I almost crapped my pants right there. It was like, holy crap. You go out, music's blaring, they're banging on the glass again. Probably hit the net 2 times because I was shooting pucks like at people on the glass that aren't looking, or at cute girls, and then they're flipping you off and stuff. It warms. It's so much fun.
I do recall you scoring a goal in Amsoil, so maybe that's why it's a good place for you.
There you go.
So nothing wrong with that. Oh, jeez. Okay, people, we're not going to answer questions about Big Ten anymore.
People are jumping on it.
Well, Minnesota voted against Big Ten. Sucks. Dead horse. But we'll continue on. Otherwise, we'll all have to crack some beers here and just relive the old days. Well, the thing is, you never played in the WCHA. It was like Shearhorn. You had fans. You skate with the Gophers probably coming up to you. Oh, we miss those days. And you're like, sorry, wasn't part of it.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite skate with the Gophers moment, though, Jack?
Mm-hmm. Are you saying, is this pressure Viggs maybe with one of your kids?
No.
No, I mean, the events with the communities were something I definitely didn't shy away from and enjoyed a lot. Playing tags with kids, that's just the best. I can't remember who it is. I think I have a picture on my Instagram and can't remember who took it. You might have taken it, but just like play fighting with the kids and just tucking jerseys over kids' heads and, imagining what they're seeing through their eyes, me growing up and just seeing how I viewed, Gophers players and professional athletes. Like that's how they viewed us. So it's pretty cool.
There you go. Viggs, do you still go to that with your kids?
Yeah, I have a little bit. Brandon McManus really took my son under his arm at one skate and skated around with him for a good 15 minutes. So I'm sad to see Brandon in Omaha now, but glad to see that he's having some success there. What do you think? I think that's great for rebuilding the community around Gopher hockey, because I think when you do that to kids and the communities, I think you're building relationships there that kids have that tie to be a fan and grow up to want to be Gophers. We saw Charlie Strobel, who just signed. He was one of those kids who was at the Skate with the Gophers events and things like that and wearing jerseys to games. And, he's got a lot of Wisconsin ties in his family, but he wanted to be a Gopher.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, have some fun, It is about the kid things. And like you said, Viggs, they need to have a little more special programs for the kids, like, student teams. Let's get those little peewee kids in the arena watching games. $10 tickets. You've done that with your team, haven't you?
Yeah, we've done group seats. I've always thought it would just be great for them to have like a Bantam tournament going on at Ritter the same weekend as a Gopher men's hockey weekend, and somehow get those Bantams to get group seats over at Mariucci for the night. And I think that'd just be a great experience. It might be nice for coaches to recruit, have, some of the top Bantam teams around the area play in a tournament there that week. I think it'd be a lot of fun. But it takes people who are interested and know the game and have those ideas. And Minnesota is just trying to sell as many tickets to Huntington Bank and the Badger game to see all those fans witness the Axe staying in the Twin Cities. So that's kind of where their focus is right now.
And now, Jack, you were very fortunate. Your senior year didn't end great, obviously, but it ended on the ice. Following year, we have a season cut off. Just terrible. And the next season is kind of a cluster as well, as it's starting so late. And it's caused a lot of changes. Vig's talked about McManus. He used the transfer portal to go in there. All these kids are getting an extra year because of COVID. So it's really kind of changed the dynamics and the landscape of college hockey. I mean, almost every team is a full year older this year because a lot of kids could come back. What do you think about all this craziness?
There's so many pros and cons to it. Just cons immediately, guys not moving on that should be moving on. It's cool to see guys get opportunities elsewhere. But now you have a complete traffic jam in the recruiting pipeline, and those kids that were expecting to come in, not just Minnesota, but other schools are kind of getting screwed over, and they're having to go back for another year of juniors. Like, this is going to have impact for many, many years that we're going to see. But on the other side, so cool that, McManus can go somewhere and excel at Omaha. One of my best buddies, John Scholl, he was playing at Omaha, not getting a lot of ice time, transferred, came back home. He's at St. Thomas now in a leadership role, and now he gets that opportunity. So there's so many sides to it. It would have been interesting if I was around when that happened. Can't probably see myself going anywhere else. Probably would have taken the opportunity to get a master's degree or something like that, education wise. But it would have been really, really cool to have another year of college hockey because it's the best years of your life, really.
Have you thought about coaching at all? Is that something that interests you?
Yes and no. My favorite time of the year is the fall and the winter, just to be outdoors and do the activities I love. Yeah. And I know coaching is definitely, it could be a part-time job, coaching some sort of youth, but it's tough. Hats off to the people that coach youth hockey. You usually have a full-time job and you have to go straight to the rink, and then you got to go home with your kids and stuff like that. So I think the next few years I'll probably take advantage of that. I'm in Minnetonka, so I'm pretty close to the high school. Past few summers helped coach the boys' captains practices, and I ended up, turning into a real practice, which I'm not sure guys enjoy. But I can see myself getting into it for sure.
And like you said, maybe if it's just doing something like a Paul Martin does, just continue my education and then helping out with the team here. And not saying the U, but just like you said, the youth teams and things like that, just kind of dabbling. And that's actually exactly what Paul Martin was doing. He's just dabbling in it right now. Wouldn't you say, Viggs?
Well, I think he's just learning. Like, there's a lot, I think, that goes into coaching that you don't realize until you start doing it and trying it and watching it done. Like, all the prep work that goes into, what 5 film clips are we going to pick? And what message are we sending by picking those 5 clips? Who gets managed one way, who manages another. I'm sure, Jack, you wanted to be coached differently than Tyler did, in terms of messaging. And you need some experience as a coach to find out what resonates with your players. Did you ever notice, like, who took the toughest coaching and who maybe got, some kid gloves at times because they knew?
Oh, yeah. That starts from squirts and on, but 100%. And that's, I think it's an issue, but it's also not an issue because that's the way it has to be. You can't take a first line guy that's super skilled and you have to have him on your first line power play and stuff. And if he turns the puck over trying to create a scoring opportunity, because that's what he does, and you get scored on, are you going to bench the guy and kill his confidence? Like, you can't do that. Now, if you have a fourth line guy trying to do that, a Jack Ramsey turns it over trying to do something, then you're going to get screamed at. But it stinks too, because like in my college career, I think I could have generated more offense and stuff like that. But being kind of a defensive minded player and not always having a guaranteed spot every night, you don't want to make the mistake. So when you have an opportunity, you might not take it. You might just dump it in, or you might just, get it on net where you could develop more offense. So I think it hurts a lot of guys' development for sure. And it benefits the guys that are the top end players.
But it also allowed you to be kind of a niche player in college hockey. When it came to the end of the game, we need some defensive forwards out there. It came to a penalty kill. You were out there, and you kind of embraced that role, didn't you?
100%. Yeah. Freshman year right away, you get an opportunity to jump at something. And going in, I knew that was going to be my role too. Mm-hmm. So that helped. I wasn't a first line guy getting transition to that. Like I knew what I was going to do. So, and I wanted to be in that role. That last 2 minutes of the game, that was my power play to score the game winning goal. I want to block the shot to save the game. So yeah, I mean, some of my favorite moments in college hockey aren't me scoring a goal. It's me eating a puck off the inside of the knee and being in pain, but the fans love it and your teammates love it. So
yeah, you and Romanko blocked quite a few at the end of games and during power or penalty kills, I should say. So
I think we had a joke that we should figure out who's the career leader in block shots and go for history, because you and Darian might have been in the running there.
That's possible. You say that, and I think of Jake Bischoff immediately. Like, what a two-way player. Guy always had an ice bag on his knees, on his ankles, but offensive threat, but he's always blocking shots.
And honestly, teams do a lot of that against Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota is typically always outblocked, wouldn't you say, Viggs? I mean, it's what teams are trying to do, anything to stop Minnesota.
Well, you kind of look at some things that show effort and how bad you want to be another team, and the number of block shots is definitely up there. Face-offs and block shots, that's effort, that's grinding, that's really getting dirty with it. And with Minnesota, want to bring their best against Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly. I was just saying, with Minnesota, Jack, target's always on you. Doesn't matter who you're playing, target's on you, and you're going to get that extra effort. God, you blocked a shot. Look what I did. I blocked a shot. It's a big deal.
Yeah, 100%. It swings momentum pretty quick too, because those guys are doing that, and then the other team's teammates are getting fired up. It's frustrating you. As a Gopher, everything you're shooting is getting blocked. It deflates you so fast. So, yeah, there is always a target on your back too. It doesn't matter if you're 0-10 or 10-0. It's the name.
Let me see. Corey again. Jack's top 3 rivals to play against. Top 3.
That's a good one. Immediately wish I would have played him more in college. North Dakota, Duluth right away too. And then it's kind of a toss-up, because it's not necessarily going into college, you know who your rivals are going to be, but over college you build this chemistry of guys you hate to play against and guys you really hate. So you'd think it'd be like an automatic Wisconsin or something like that, or Michigan. But, I just hated the little guys, the little rat guys. That'd be my third biggest rival.
The little guys who's out there chirping the entire game.
Yep.
Oh, I kind of like that answer, actually. Because I've seen a lot of, I've done a lot of photo shooting in between benches, and I've heard a lot of those little guys just going and going. I mean, I'll never forget Clark from Alaska Anchorage many years ago. Just yelling, Wheeler, your sister's a whore. I mean, like doing all this kind of stuff. And Wheeler just kind of smiles, but then, or going after Oposo, your girlfriend, things like that. I'm like, He was just going all night long. And I'm like, it's working, until Minnesota, went up by 2 goals late. And then I'm sitting there right next to Kevin Gorg, and Kyle Oposo takes his stick. There was no glass between those 2 benches. Takes his stick and just starts tapping Clark on the head. And Gorg's looking at me like, did that just happen? Next year, tall glass on both sides of that photo box.
Right away.
But Clark was a little guy, and I'm guessing Kyle Rao was one of those little guys that a lot of other teams hated because he loved to talk out there, loved to chirp. There have been quite a few Gophers, quite a few, like you said, a lot of guys on the other teams. With those guys, oh boy, I see. Corey says Ashan. Is that little Wisconsin Ashan? I take it he's talking about. Yeah,
there's a couple of them now.
There is,
and then it runs in the bloodline, maybe like the little Lemieux thing that's going on right now in the NHL. Jack, I asked Eric this. Do you have a favorite Bob moment and a favorite Don moment? You're one of those rare players that played for both.
And by the way, Eric's favorite moment was when Tyler Nanny came out with a mullet. Imitating, who was he imitating? The
Hammer.
Yes, yeah. Imitating Hammer. He says, this is one of the funniest things you've ever seen. He's like, did he really just do that?
Big long strides and
Hammer would get going. Morning skate,
wide grip on the stick. Yeah, old school.
Yeah, so what do you got?
Bob's hard to get one. Like Bob is a low. I mean, I don't know if it's low key, but I think it's low key. Super funny guy and just very personable. Like one-on-one or just talking to him. But he loves the outdoors, so I can shoot the shit with him. All day long. So just good conversations. Don isn't not a funny moment for him, but is a funny moment for me. I think it was sophomore year, freshman year. Big Tens are coming around, and I've told friends this, but I've never shared this story because it's just too good. But and this goes back to the fourth liners. Like you might be limited on offense, what you want to do. But Big Ten came around playoffs, and he got blue line, get in here. So I think it was me, Norman, and Manx. And he's like, this weekend, every single time you guys get to the red line, I want to see that puck hit the end wall. And I was like, what? He's like, even if you have a breakaway, I want to see that thing hit the end wall. And like two young sophomores, like we're like going into the Big Ten. I'm like, all right, there goes the inspiration for our offense, going into it just completely deflated. But looking back on it, just so funny for him to say that to us.
You're on a breakaway, throw it to the wall.
Yeah, end wall. I want to see it hit the end wall.
Oh, jeez. All right, well, they head into Yost this weekend, Vigs, and this is kind of the series we've been waiting for in the Big Ten. Michigan, yes, picked to finish second in the league to Minnesota, but 7 number 1 draft picks on their team. They're playing really well right now. But even for them, the speed's going up this weekend.
Well, we've seen Michigan drop some games here and there. And I think with talented teams, you're going to have that inconsistency. So if you're an opponent who goes up against a team like that and you play a smart game like Minnesota did Friday against North Dakota, I think you're going to put yourself in really good shape. It's not a big, heavy team that's going to be difficult to play against. It's going to be a fast team that's going to be fun to play against. And I think this is going to be just a great matchup for college hockey fans to see all the skill and talent on display. Minnesota is probably juggling their lines still a little bit. And I don't think we've seen this team play at their top capability yet. I don't know if it's going to happen this weekend. I just don't see enough consistency in their game where I'm expecting Minnesota to come out and sweep. If you get back and you watch the availability today, the coach, Bob, had a fun moment with the Daily Writer who asked how big of a moment would it be if you could sweep Michigan to end the season. And Bob goes, you haven't been around here very long, have you? He's like, I don't even think of the word sweep until we win one on Friday.
Yeah.
And he went through it a little bit with him and had some fun. But it's going to be fun for us to watch. I think a big key for Minnesota is not to take bad penalties. We've seen this team have their penalty killers taking penalties, and that really hurts them in their flow right now.
Well, you've been to Yost, Jack. I mean, they've had some good teams when you played them. What does Minnesota need to do? That's maybe something we're not thinking of here when they head into Yost this weekend.
Yeah, one thing I think Bob would be preaching is don't turn it into a track meet right away. I remember one year there, I think the score was 2-1, like 2 minutes into the game. And that's not what they want to do going in. Obviously, you can't shut down your offense. Sammy Walker's got to keep flying up and down the ice and maintaining his speed. But as soon as you start trying to race with those guys, obviously the Gophers are a quick, really fast offensive team, but not the way they want to play. And like you said, they're probably changing up lines and trying to figure out the right matchups. But don't turn it into a track meet. Face-offs are going to be so huge. Time of possession, getting that puck off the draws and keeping it on your stick and out of their hands is, I think, possession is probably going to be the biggest key of the weekend.
And Viggs, we've been talking about that for a long time. Key face-off wins it's just so critical.
Yeah, I was looking back at the stats a little bit. We went pretty quick through our North Dakota recap, but
you can talk about more.
Well, Connor Ford, he went 19-4 on
geez.
Saturday. I mean, you watched him get up there with Ben Myers in elite key faceoffs. And on Friday, I thought it was pretty 50-50 between them. But by the time they got to Saturday, he was just locked in. I don't know if he picked up something watching film from draws the night before, but he was just winning a bunch of them. Minnesota was hardly ever winning one clean. And then the wingers are coming in, cleaning up the mess. There are a couple times where I thought they baited him a little bit. Sometimes as a center, you kind of lift the stick and you push the puck a little forward, and one of your wingers comes and takes it to the net in an offensive zone. They were doing stuff like that. I thought that was really, a moment for that series that really kind of changed the momentum. And Minnesota's struggled a little bit in faceoff circles. So I think that will be a big key. Matty Beniers for Michigan, number 2 overall pick, pretty good center. So Michigan might have the advantage on the dot and down the middle this weekend as Minnesota tries to find, what's the recipe for them. I'm not sure we're going to see Jackson Nelson play center this weekend. We'll see what Bob throws together. With Sammy moving back, Ben's obviously been the most solid center for Minnesota lately. Perbix has done a fine job there. Huglin's doing a nice job, but that's going to be a big key this weekend.
And the key is when you're winning faceoffs too, Viggs. Offensive zone faceoffs when you've got the power play. Defensive zone faceoffs when you're killing penalties. Critical times of the game when things could change. You even saw about a month ago you got really good stats that just showed you they might have been a little 50-50 on faceoffs, but when it came to these critical faceoffs, they got their butts kicked.
Yeah, all the key ones.
Yeah,
that weekend they were getting killed, and that's going to be so key for this weekend. That's why I think you see the Myers power play unit start off almost every power play. That's why you see Nelson and Myers start off almost every penalty kill, because he's kind of the one guy right now they can count on. You kind of hope that Huglin fills that number 2 role, and then once he does, he's going to see more special team time. Mm-hmm. I think he's getting ready to get a lot of ice time the second half of the year because Bob really likes him.
There you go. What do you think, Jack? I mean, how close are you still following this team now that you've been away from a few years?
Off and on, it's tough because, Saturdays and Friday evenings are usually when I'm in a deer stand. Obviously, it's changed now with sunset being earlier, but decent amount. And Viggs is spot on with the faceoffs. Like watching last weekend, lost a lot of key faceoffs, like you said. But even if you lose the faceoff, the positioning on the draw and the wingers or the D on the wall getting beat off the wall to the puck, it doesn't matter it matters if you lose the faceoff, but be in the right position to tie up your guy off the draw. You can't have guys walking off the wall every time and getting a grade A. So I think they need to do a much better job of responsibilities off faceoff, and that completely goes on the center. A huge part is being able to win draws, but when you line up, you got to turn to your defenseman or turn to your wing. Hey, you got this guy, you got that guy. Hey, maybe this is the play they're running, and everybody on your team needs to know the plays that you're running, so everybody's on the same page. So huge emphasis on winning the battle after the draw and just communication.
And funny, he mentions that, Viggs, is that's one of the things Moscow's been talking about is the basics. You're not going to win every face-off, but if you know the basics, Viggs, like what are my responsibilities? If you're ignoring those basics, it hurts you.
Yeah, and they've had to teach those lessons over and over again a little bit the first half of the year. Body position around the net is so key. And, the guy who's impressed me the most on this team so far has been Huglin. He does a great job of lifting sticks, showing his numbers to the goalie, finding players attacking the net, not so much being caught puck watching. I think a lot of the defensemen, that's been a struggle for them the first half of the year because they want to get going. They want to have more points. They want to show off their skill. They want to be successful. They want to grow from last year. Starts with the basics, though. Matt Stoddicker said last year, part of my job is being a dick around the net. Sometimes you just got to embrace that and be like, that's where it all starts, is build out from there. And I think that's going to be key for them this weekend.
And that actually kind of comes back to roles. You say Stoddicker being the dick around the net. Jack, you knew exactly what your role. So it's like guys kind of have to figure out their role and embrace it and just run with it, don't they?
100%. Watching the 6-on-5 at the end of the game on Saturday. I don't know who it was. He had possession at the point, and whoever's in front of the net for one sequence, there's nobody in front of the net. Like going out there, it's your job. If you're that guy, it's your job in front of the net. So if I'm Bob, I'm that guy. And 30 seconds later, that guy's in front of the net, and he's just screening the goalie, with his stick. And I hate to preach that because every single coach I've ever had has preached that. And as a player, I hated it because I tried my best to take eyes away. I wasn't shying away and waving at it, but it's so basic. Maybe I'll go coach squirts, and that's the only thing I'll focus on. But get your ass in front of the goalie. Stop using your stick. You're not the guy who's scoring the goal. You might get the rebound, but do your job and take the eyes away.
And maybe you will score the goal. Like you said, maybe you'll get the rebound. The goalie's not going to see it, but he makes a save, but can't see enough to control it. Somebody else comes in and gets some garbage. I mean, a lot of things can happen.
A lot of times you have guys, sometimes I think when they're struggling to find offense, they're trying to find soft ice, somewhere where they're open. Sometimes the better way to do it is go like, you know what, I'm going to go initiate body contact with someone so I at least know I'm on the right side of this player and have somewhere to go when the puck comes, rather than just hoping it comes to me. I hope it falls to me and I'm wide open and I can hammer it home. Sometimes you got to go, you know what, I'm going to initiate contact and I'm going to create space for myself somehow. And it's just a little bit of a transition because everything gets tighter in college hockey. The systems are better, the players are bigger, they're stronger. You've got to find ways to create offense, and that could be a recipe for them going forward here. Prediction for me, split. I think the Gophers are going to get beat on Friday. They're going to have to take their medicine, and they're going to come out Saturday and win going into break.
Wow. You've been pretty split heavy this last month here, Viggs.
Well, it's just kind of the team that we're seeing. I expected a little bit something more at the start of the year. We haven't seen it. It's been slow. I think there's just a lot of question marks right now with the Gophers trying to figure out their lines. They haven't been super healthy this year, so I think that's impacted their ability to practice hard and gain some consistency. So that's just what we're going to get. This is a team that's building for March, though. They're getting there.
We hope so.
It's a tough schedule. I think they're number 2 in strength of schedule right now in college hockey.
Yeah, but they're close to around 500, so let's get it going. So, what do you think, Jack? How do you think the boys will do this weekend at Yost?
I'm going to be very detailed on this. I think you're going into another very tough environment to play in. You got a lot of young guys. I think Michigan comes out firing and gets the jump right away. Gophers are going to go down 1-0 to start the game, but they're going to win Friday, and then Bob's going to have them prepped for Saturday. They're going to get the sweep going into break. Okay.
There it is.
One of the games is going to go to overtime, though.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
You see, I was thinking sweep too, Viggs. I'm going to be Mr. Positive this week because I think the environment last weekend might be prepping them pretty well for this weekend.
100%.
And you never know. That Saturday night might be actually empty at Yost with all those people wanting to go watch Michigan play in the Big Ten football championship.
Ooh. You're looking at those betting lines. You got everything figured out.
No, wait, no. That Viggs is the big better. He's always checking the offshore and
there could be some money to be made this weekend because I feel like Minnesota will be pretty significant underdogs with the line. I think
they will be.
I think they'll be like plus 160 or something like that. So, if you're believing in them this weekend, I think we'll see some overs too. I think we'll see some goal totals over 6 this weekend. So
some good old fashioned hockey. Let's go. Let's go. Well, Jack, thanks for coming on with us. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Had a lot of fun. It was good catching up and just good talking detailed hockey. I haven't done that in a while.
Well, if you could stay for a little bit of overtime, we'll get away from the hockey and talk some other stuff. Oh, there he's already pushing the beer of the week. Jeez.
Well, I've been getting some sponsorship of this. This last week we had Lupulin contributing a 4-pack. This week we've got 1010 Washington Wine Spirits and Falling Knife contributing something. So look forward to that in OT.
All right. Well, like I said, thank you, Jack, for coming on. We really appreciate it. And, that's going to do it for this episode of the GPL podcast. This is kind of our half-season break for now. We'll not be back until around January 5th, I do believe it is. So it'll be a while, but we'll be back in January 5th. For those of you watching live, stay tuned for a little bit of overtime. But for the rest of you, we'll catch you in January. That was great, Viggs. Okay, well, hold on. Let's get you. There's the pour. We heard it open. There's the pour. Oh, you muted yourself. Here, I'll unmute you, but wait, I can't unmute you.
Good froth.
You muted yourself.
Yeah,
At least we heard you open it, though.
It's a good pour. It's my Viking glass from Iceland.
Oh.
They have a beer there called Viking beer. So I know, Jack, you're a big football fan. But yeah, this is L-Bombs from Falling Knife. It's just down the road here in northeast Minneapolis, over kind of in that industrial park area. Great brewery. They make all kinds of great hoppy stuff, big stout stuff. So cheers, everyone.
And of course, Viggs, I was into the whiskey a little too much on Thanksgiving.
A little heavy.
I was we put a whole bottle of Macallan gone.
It's a nice night.
Oh, yeah. I remember just being a passenger driving, going back. I'm like, how do people drive when they're this drunk? I could barely function. Yeah, I'm texting, well, here's the next bottle. And he's like, yeah. And then I eventually just sent him, I'm hammered.
There you go.
Oh, boy.
I know we had this question earlier, Jack. Is there a beverage of choice for you? Or
of choice for me?
Is it Bud Light smoothies or?
Oh, I hate Bud Light. I hate Bud Light. Absolutely.
You hate it because it was a cheap beer and that's what they gave you in college.
No. Busch Light was the cheap beer in college.
Busch Light was the cheap beer.
And freaking marketing that they've done for it has, took it. We used to be able to get it. I was of age, everybody. We used to get it for $17.99 for a 30 rack, and now you're paying $21 for 24. It's outrageous. I still drink Busch though, but yeah, I drink Busch. Avoid Bud Light. Not a seltzer guy. Hate that. So,
Tim Hapgardy asking in the chat, what's the biggest deer you've ever taken down?
Yeah, unfortunately, I showcase that I'm really good at hunting, and I put a lot of time in. I've shot 2 deer in my life I started hunting my sophomore year of college, and I have a good story to follow this up. But sophomore year of college, only shot 1 buck, 1 doe. I'm kind of a trophy hunter. I'm a snob. So once I see a deer on camera that I want, I'll wait the entire season for it. And this year I haven't gotten it. So actually going to go deer hunting and pheasant hunting with Brock Couts this weekend. But
former Gopher goalie as well.
Yep. But to touch on the deer hunting funny story, when I was at the U, Kurt Simonson, he was my roommate. I don't know if some of the fans that rings a bell or not, didn't get a ton of ice time, but one of the most beloved teammates I've ever had. But he would go hunting with me, and I think it was a Sunday evening. I shot a buck early September, so shot it with a bow, and I texted Cal Dietz, our strength coach, hey, Cal, I'm not going to be at morning workout. Is that okay? Like, I have to drop this deer off. Totally fine. But I had to drop Kurt off at class. So I drove a minivan, MPV Mazda minivan, freshman year. So,
I had a Mazda minivan, MPV, back in the day.
I call it the MVP. That thing was awesome. But Kurt and I ratchet strapped the buck to the roof, and I drive into Dinkytown with a buck strapped to my roof, and say it's a liberal campus. I'm driving through like through all the classes and stuff. Drop Kurt off, and everybody's jaws dropping, and that's a favorite memory. just strapped to the roof of my minivan.
The soda pod. Where are the fish in 10 Mile? Gonna keep asking. He did ask earlier.
Oh man, show up at New Year's or in January, and you'll see everybody stacked on top of each other. It's not that hard to find them. That's all I'll give you. I'll see you out there.
Oh, well, who else did you get recruited by?
That's a good one. My first school that recruited me was Cornell. Freshman year of high school, freshman year of school. Started talking to me, asked if I could send my transcripts out there. And I was like, no, I'm done talking with you. That was about it with them. But, 27 on the ACT. I could have gotten to the U. I maybe could have skimmed in there, but Duluth was the first school I visited, actually. I went on 2 visits to Duluth before I even went to my first one at the U. So second visit at Duluth, and then like 3 weeks later went to the U, and I committed the next day after I visited to the U. So that was it was a quick decision.
What was the pitch from Duluth? Do you remember like what the message was when you went to visit?
They actually pitched the outdoors angle quite a bit, which
I guess that's smart.
Yeah, it was good on them. They're like, yeah, you can go ice fishing, blah blah. And every time you're getting recruited, you're getting your tires pumped full of fake air anyway. But
yeah,
it was that kind of stuff, and just that I'd fit into that that kind of team, the way they played, and I think I would have. But glad I went to the U. Patolny did a great job recruiting too. You guys are getting excited about Shrink the Rink. I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh, I saw you kind of like, it didn't seem like you were happy about that.
Yeah, I was. I think Wheeler was recruited with that too.
Really?
He might have been recruited with the Shrink the Rink thing, and I was recruited with that. I never saw it.
There's a different guy in charge now. I think Mark Coyle has his I's dotted and his T's crossed, and he knows what he's doing, and he's got the money earmarked. They just need to see how bad this pandemic hits them financially. They're still trying to make up with their TV rights holders right now from last year. They're still trying to make good on those contracts. And it kind of depended what kind of season PJ had. Were they going to be able to fill the bank for that Wisconsin game? Obviously, we're seeing hockey tickets are not moving as fast as they'd like them to, but maybe now that football's over, they'll put more effort into it and sell more tickets, and basketball is off to a good start. So Jack, I know it's been a long time coming, but before it was all fundraising problems. They're forcing them to fundraise the money to pay for it specifically. I think some of their biggest donors kind of tapped out after, the locker room team area got fixed up, that alumni room area, and the strength and conditioning. Those were all priorities, and that's where the donor money went. This is going to be totally separate.
And there's also the environmental thing, though. It isn't like the refrigerant. They do have to kind of change the whole refrigerant system, Viggs.
I mean,
it's tougher to get.
Yeah, it's tougher to get. It's more expensive. Like, they're not making it anymore. So if there was a major leak to the coolant, they would be in a world of hurt. It would be super expensive to replace it. So
that's some of it.
It's coming. I think sooner than later. We'll see.
And the thing is, that rink is huge, Jack. The corners are huge.
He's going for Busch Light, maybe?
I'm going for a glass myself.
There you go. There you go. That's the way to do it.
Yeah,
my girlfriend here. Note that you and Nick polished off nearly 2 bottles of whiskey.
That's probably not good for you, Jupe. A whole bottle to yourself.
No, it wasn't a... Well,
If you guys polished off 2, I'm guessing you guys
well-
were doing pours back and forth. No, I mean, if we really get into it tonight, I got this special one. Too.
I was... Oh, yeah. I was not sober. Yeah, and I may have thrown up for the first time in like a decade the next
You know,
month.
you didn't have to admit that. You did
Why
not
I
have
don't-
to admit that.
I don't care.
Okay.
It was a serious drinking night, and it was fun. Zach Beach, what was the pitch like from Dawn or from the Dawn?
Or was it mostly from Grant?
The Don. It was from everybody. Don actually, I think he was the most. I kind of feel like I make it sound like everybody lies when they're recruiting. They don't, but Don was spot on with everything. He was super honest. This is what we see you as. We see you as a 4-year player. We see you as a PK guy. A captain in your senior year. And I was like, all right, that sounds about right for me. I was super realistic coming into college what I wanted to be as a player, and I think I checked all those boxes. And he was spot on with his predictions.
Oh, you got the media guy right there.
No, there's a little letter there.
I wonder if I'll ever get one this year.
No.
Poor Deutsch. I feel sorry for Deutsch. It's just...
I love him.
The thing is, we call him Grumpy Deutsch for a reason. He's grumpy because of all the BS he has to put up with above him. And I've always felt terrible for him because of that.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, he does a great job with what he has available to him, I think.
Jack, what'd you go with there? What's the pour?
This is all I have. This is a bullet bourbon, barely been touched, a move-in present from another former Gopher, Jack Glover.
Well, it's a very steady choice. Well done.
Thank you.
Boy.
It's the
chat here.
It's the elite whiskey drinkers, great mixer, sometimes straight when you want to.
And by the way, anyone watching, I highly recommend going to Jack's Twitter profile and watching his tagged video of having a hook pull out of his hand. Great video. Highly recommend.
I am private as it gets.
Not quite as private as Colorado.
Let's say here, you know what? If anybody wants to sneak over there, I'll change it for the next hour. How's that?
Oh, jeez.
There you go. Dig up any tweets you guys want for the next hour. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you see, that's right. Yeah, I didn't even know yours was a private account, was it? It's a good video, though. That's a nice hook. And then they missed the first try, didn't they? And
No,
here's a big.
Yeah, it just didn't come out. Like the issue with the treble hook is that it had, if you get one hook in you, you can pop it through the skin, cut it, pull it out. I had 2 trebles in me, and it was blocking it. So it was there was a treble hook, so you couldn't push it in any further. So yeah, they're gonna push it down, pull it out with the braided line, and the guy yanked the first time, didn't come out. He goes, all right, we're gonna try this one more time, then we'll try something else. Yanks it again, doesn't come out. He goes, all right, let's try something else. I was like, so they shot me up with Novocaine, and that was terrible too. I couldn't feel it, but I could feel my thumb, felt like they were trying to snap my thumb. It's just a queasy feeling. Not a good time. So I learned my lesson that day.
One of my favorite Stitches moments is I was playing pickup hockey at Augsburg Ice Arena. And I was, that age where I thought it'd be cool to play without a shield or whatever. I still have the helmet on, but I had, open. And I got tripped up going to the net because that's the kind of player I am. I like to go to the net, even pick up hockey. And I went into the goalpost and I split open my forehead. And I go over across the street to the hospital, and I'm in the ER getting stitched up. And as the girl is starting to do it, she's like, this is the first time I've ever done stitches on a human. And when she put in the Novocaine to do it, I could feel all the Novocaine just dripping down my face. I'm like, none of that got where it needed to go. And she's like, oh, this is all they gave me. It's going to take like another half an hour. And it's already like 2 a.m.
Oh, jeez.
It's going to take like another half an hour for me to go get another one. It's like, just do it. It took her like an hour and 15 minutes to do like 14 stitches. No Novocaine in there or anything. It's a little different than a treble hook coming out, but
That's got to feel good, Vigs.
it felt great. I looked really great at work the next morning. People are like, what happened to you? It's like, well, got to go to the net.
And it wasn't even beer league.
No, it was just pickup.
Jeez. I don't remember you going to the net for the rubes like that.
No, well, I had a cage then too, so or the shield.
I obviously, you guys love not wearing a cage, and in college they force you to wear it. I personally could not imagine playing without one. I've had pucks come up, and I'm like, wow, I'm glad I had this thing on. So I guess it's kind of a love-hate, wouldn't it be, Jack?
Yeah,
I mean, you love the visibility, but then you kind of thinking maybe you took a shot in college. They're like, that would have severely
Jack
hit
played a
injured me.
little AHL hockey.
Well, he did, but I'm saying, you don't want it. You want to have the vision, but then when you have it, it can save your ass.
100%. You get used to it. I mean, the cages obviously over 4 years, you get used to it so fast, and you don't realize that it's limiting your vision.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I go home and wear a visor while I was skating at home during Christmas break, and then come back and you put the cage on, you're like, holy shit, I can't see a thing. But I played juniors, 2 years visor. Looking back, stupid. I never wore a mouth guard. College, and then 1 year pro, wore a visor, and I never got hit in the face really at all. I think the one time I got hit in the face, you get your shoulders and stuff like that, but never took a stick, never took a puck to the face. So I got super lucky. And I play beer league now too, and I just wear my old Gopher helmet, no visor. So I'm probably jinxing myself now, but
I would think maybe with that Gopher bucket, maybe sticks, just would happen to come up every once in a while in a league game.
it helps being, usually like 5 inches taller than the people you're playing.
It does. It does, because in beer leagues, you're going to get everybody. I mean, you get little guys like me. I'm not little. I'm thick. But, I stand next to Vigs when he's on skates, and I'm way shorter than you, Vigs.
Meat line.
We did have the meat line with a lot of weight. I bet you easily the weight of our meat line was more than any line in the pros.
Well, I mean, we're 3 football players. We're all like 6'2", 250. We're lining up for a face-off in a D-League hockey game. It was pretty funny.
It's intimidating the hell out of everybody else.
We had fun, though, Vigs.
Yeah, it's like Youngblood when Racky comes in the face-off circle. All 3 of us are just coming up, brizzling in with beards and not even looking at the puck.
I haven't played in so long, Vigs. Literally, my hockey bag's sitting up in my garage. I haven't touched it in 5 years.
Yeah, Jack, you should get involved in the youth hockey. It's a little less stressful, and it's a lot of fun. I'm coaching my kids right now, mini mites and mites in Northeast Minneapolis, and we have a blast. So it's a good time.
I'd like to. I think I had 2 or 3 opportunities come up to coach high school this year, and was scared to take the jump. Just
it's a lot.
Got a new job, and you got to deal with the time on that. And are you leaving? What time are your practices? Like 7 o'clock at night, or how's that work?
Well, for mites and mini mites, we usually only practice 1 weeknight a week, and it's like 6 or 7. And then on the weekends, we have ice time Saturday and ice time Sunday. And then when we get the outdoor ice, we'll get a Friday night outdoor as well. So then they're on the ice 4 times a week. And so for kids who are, 6, 7, 8 years old, that's plenty of ice time. Our squirt teams are playing probably 5 times a week, and our peewees are playing 6 or 7, and it's not even as much as some of the big associations. We've got Edina renting ice in Northeast now, because those kids are on the ice 8-10 hours a week at the upper levels, which is just crazy to me.
Are you seeing a lot of one sport kids?
I mean, we really push our kids to do other stuff in our association just because we're long-term athlete development. But I think as you get older, there's a lot of high school coaches who push their kids to play one sport, and they punish them if they don't do the STP stuff now in the summer, or, if they're a player, who's got the chance to play like that HP stuff and the tier 1 now. I would want my kids to play football, play hockey, play baseball, play golf, run track, pick a lacrosse or whatever it is you want to do in the spring. But I just don't think you're gaining much by focusing on one sport so early. But I'm kind of a dinosaur there.
No,
what did you do, Jack?
I played baseball and hockey growing up. I stopped playing baseball freshman year and still regret it all the time. I mean, I was a better baseball player than I was hockey player, realistically. And I think my freshman year was like the first family vacation we were going to go on in 10 years, something like that. And it was during baseball tryouts. And they're like, yeah, if you don't try out, you can't get placed on a team. I was like, all right, I'm done with baseball, I guess. And so still regret it. But yeah, I think you should play multiple sports 100%. I think my dad played hockey, then he played football, and then he played tennis, and then he'd go back to hockey. I think he had offers to go to the U to play tennis too. I know that's a fun fact about him. So,
well, you look at Paul Martin, Viggs. He's a record-setting tight end.
He is a wide receiver.
I thought he was tight end. No, he was
I think he's a wide receiver.
But out of Elk River, I mean, one of the best football players in the state.
I think he had like the state touchdown record.
He did. He had a lot of records for a while, and you don't see as much of that anymore. I mean, I believe Budish was a quarterback. Wasn't he the quarterback at Edina?
He was a quarterback linebacker.
But I mean, I think he got injured his senior year, like ACL type of thing.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, ooh, is he going to be able to play hockey again?
Yeah.
And that's just another thing too. I mean, you're getting to meet many other people and learning so many different skills.
Well, and the injuries too. I think kids who focus on one sport, they're much more injury prone. You look at the goalies now with all the injuries they're having now, because they play year round. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, Hapke, Nelson plays town baseball in the summer. I love hearing that.
That's awesome.
That is. I have town baseball literally about 500 or less feet from my house here in Norwood, Young America.
Somehow get back into it. I should set up a Facebook group for people to come out and watch this. But we have to go for alumni softball team. It's me, Sheehy, Novak, Sadek. Munson, McManus played in it. People are gonna be pissed at me because I forget people. Shearhorn, Glover, like all these guys played in it. We lost in the championship to the current Gophers.
that probably could have sold some tickets.
Yeah. Yep. We lost to the current team. Still pissed about that. We'll get them next summer, but
bitter party of one.
It is very fun.
Party of 10. Party of 10.
Probably more than that. I'm guessing some alcohol is kind of consumed during that.
No alcohol allowed in the dugout.
Oh,
after the game.
That's why you have koozies, though.
Baseball and softball get dangerous with alcohol.
So does hockey. I remember playing a couple pickup games. You were probably there, Viggs. We had a little too much drink before.
Yeah, I know some people do that. One of my barley players had to take a shower in the locker room before the game once.
You'd be surprised how fast you get sobered up when you start doing an active thing like that. I remember I did pretty quickly. Of course, after I got hit with a puck too, but that'll wake you up.
Yeah, Jack, I'm sure there's a spot on Jackson's town ball team. I played in the Dakota Rice Scott League town ball for a while. It was kind of my motivation. I tore my ACL. And I was playing softball, and I was like, I got to figure out something to come back from. So I was like, I'm going to play for this baseball team in small town, like Lakeville area. And that was my motivation to come back, was to train for that. So it's fun.
Yeah. I've dove straight into the world of rec sports, played on, that softball team. I was on another men's softball team in Excelsior. I played on a co-ed softball team with my fiance, And we're a volleyball league as well, co-ed volleyball league. Our last game is tomorrow. We're second to last place in the league, but we have a lot of fun.
So you said you had a new job. What's the new 9 to 5?
Yeah, it's a great gig. The company's called Players Health. So we're in Minneapolis, still super tied into sports. So it's an athlete safety risk management company. I think the easiest way to describe it is everything that's been going on with the Blackhawks the past few months. What our company is preventing that and taking the necessary measures to make sure that it's all youth sports basically. So making sure that the coaches are completing their compliance training, they're doing the right screening, the right abuse prevention training, concussion training, and that parents, kids, and coaches have the right access to report any abuse or misconduct, and we investigate it and review it. So super tied into sports still, talking to sports people all day, every day, and making an impact about something that I care about. So it's been really, really good.
And you just look at what's happened in like the gymnastics world. If something like this would have been around 15 years ago, even, a lot of things could have been prevented, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, being a youth hockey coach, I've done all that safe sports stuff and the concussion stuff, but I do think like the reporting and the follow-up is just such a gap there that people are unclear about. The safe board is like, oh yeah, if you see something, report it. And it's just kind of like, well, what do I do? Do I call the police? Who do I call? It's like, it's a little unclear. Like if you do see something, like how does it get addressed? Because it's complicated.
It's scary. And like you said, if you go back 15 years, how much stuff, I mean, there's so much stuff that hasn't been unearthed, and like the door's finally cracking open of people feeling comfortable to come forward. But that's the really cool thing about Players Health is it's anonymized reporting if you'd like it to be. So, you're not getting scared of any repercussions that are gonna happen. And we're doing our best to try to work it into the college level as well, because something happens to a college athlete. If it happens from a coach, who are you going to go to? You can't go to the coach. You're scared to go to another coach. And so then, if there is abuse or misconduct, it piles on when it could have been stopped too. So it's there are things I see and hear at work that are scary and terrifying too, and it kind of paints a dark picture on youth sports. But the reality is it's not happening as often as something the news may make it seem nowadays. But also the reality is there needs to be better platforms moving forward for people to come forward with anything that happens.
And also part of that reality is that it's probably been going on for 50 years.
Yep.
In some way or some form, and it was even more dark and never talked about. And obviously the Chicago situation with hockey, I see as a good thing in the long run, because I mean, just as a player, it's my manlyhood. I'm like, we have to get past a lot of that stigma, and it's hard, and we could see it. It takes a long time.
100%. When that news broke, it was kind of shocking to me, because I was drafted by the Blackhawks. I played in their organization, and now I work for this athlete safety company that is working so hard to prevent this stuff. I was like, holy smokes, I am so tied between the two and in the middle of this. And like you said, when it came out, I was like, what? That I can never picture that happening in men's sports. And people say, oh, this guy was 6'4". The guy that abused him was 5'8". Like, how could this guy let this happen? And it's understandable that people are viewing it that way, but it's not okay, because people don't realize the process of grooming and the position of power that people have on you, and how it affects a 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid, let alone a 14-year-old kid. So there needs to be resources even for the manliest of men.
Actually, we got not a question, but Ryan just want to thank you, Jack. My 6-year-old son loves hockey and has turned into a great player at the mite level. He fell in love with it after time with Jack invested with him at an open skate with fans. So there's a very appreciative dad right there.
Brian, I didn't think I was going to cry on the podcast tonight. Yeah. That's awesome.
And we talked about that, earlier. It's like, you just spend a little bit of time with these kids, and all of a sudden, it's a huge deal to them. I mean, it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
100%. It's in the long run, it's 5-15 minutes of your time, but it can make the world to a kid. And maybe someday they become a Gopher, and maybe Ryan gets drafted first overall, and let me know when that happens.
And he'll thank you. I remember I was at a Gopher skate. It was Jack Ramsey, and they're gonna be like, who?
Jack, I always thought that you were going to do like a guide service. I hear all this hunting talk, and I was like, maybe, Steve Johnson's figuring out that pilot license. Maybe, you figure out a way for him to fly people out to hunting spots. I still think there's a market there for that.
Fins, fur, and feathers, guys. I'm trademarking it. No, that whenever I was in elementary school growing up, what's your dream guide or dream job? I'm going to be a Canadian guide, up in Ontario, walleye fishing and something like that. I'd still love to do something along the lines of that, but I am doing that now. Like I mentioned Brock earlier, we're going pheasant hunting and deer hunting. Like it's been my goal. Him, Jack Glover, Eric Shearhorn, like these guys like the outdoors, but they don't really know what they're doing. Sorry guys, but you don't really know what they're doing out there, and nothing makes me happier than taking those guys out. I took a bunch of the guys out walleye fishing last year. We caught one walleye, but we fired up when it happened, so it's pretty exciting.
One of my high school teammates from hockey works for the DNR, and he has made kind of a side hustle for fly fishing rough fish. It's like carp. So you catch them on a fly rod.
Yeah.
And he does a guide service with it, and he just loves it. And he does like specific flies for catching carp and things like that. And it's just a total passion project for him. And he's like, I feel like he's like one of the experts in Minnesota for doing it this way. And it's just kind of a cool thing to see happen.
That's super, super cool. Fly fishing is an absolute art. My fiance is from Montana, so I've purchased my first fly fishing rod and trying to learn the ropes of it and everything. It is freaking tough though. It's like ice hockey versus figure skating compared to normal fishing, but it's been really fun. But that's impressive.
By the way, Montana, that's one of my favorite places on earth. I could live at Glacier. I just think it's got everything right there. I'm a little biased though. I just love Glacier, and that I just love all of Montana. It's just great.
100%. I'm with you there. It's every corner of the state has something else to offer. Mm-hmm. That's where we're gonna get married. So
there you go.
Very excited for it, but I get out there 3-4 times a year and try to.
You jerk!
Go ahead.
Is your bachelor party going to be fly fishing?
No. Close. And when I told my buddies about this, they're like, "That's the most rammer bachelor party you can have." And I'm not planning it, but Leech Lake ice houses.
Oh,
rented some ice houses. So I don't know how much fishing's going to get done, guys, but
it's the bonus. But it's not about the fishing half the time anyway.
No,
it's being with your buds. It's being with your buds. So
yep,
completely different thing. Oh, Viggs, how's that beer? Is it already gone, Viggs?
Yep, I'm ready to move on to my beer advent calendar beer.
Here, I'm out of water. I need to go get more. Talk amongst yourselves.
This one's another fancy beer. This is a Mosaic Fresh Hop IPA. You've got so much to learn, Jack, in your young age.
Yeah, so super hoppy is like the dark beer, right? Or is that just the super bitter?
I mean, it can be whatever. Like this is hoppy, but it's a different hop than people attribute it to. It's like a tropical note. Like a sweet, like papaya maybe, or mango almost. But it's,
See,
it's
this time of year, I hate that. Like if I drink a Miller Lite right now, I'd throw up. But when it's 95 degrees on a boat, like refreshing. Like that's the only time I'll drink like Miller Lite.
I mean, after Super Rink men's league, Mick Golden Light is always the first one. It just goes down easy. I'd see Papa Brodzinski over there with his team, and I'd be with my team, and I'd have my Mick Golden Lights, and I'd always change over to a Two Hearted or something after the first one, but
I ran into Papa Brodzinski the other day, the Blaine ice fishing show.
That's his hood.
That is his hood. He showed me a picture. The Brodzinskis can hunt and they can fish. I'll tell you that. Boy. Yeah, they're killers. On and off the ice.
It. Yeah, I used to go up to Kenora on the Winnipeg River and go to a place called Menaki and fish for a week every summer, which was a blast. I'd go with my dad, and we'd go with another couple father-son groups, and we'd rent a cabin, and we'd have, bets, first fish, biggest muskie for the week, things like that. And we just got into our gear. We had like the line counter reels. We had the planer boards. We had the books with the Rapalas for depth. We had all the toys out there.
You were hardcore there, V's.
We were walleye slayers for a while. And then of course the group that we went with, they were big muskie fishermen. So we got the big 7-foot rods, the big, reels and everything, all the baits, working the casting techniques. We got pretty hard into it, and then I got married. I have not gone to Canada fishing since, but my kids are into it now. We went over to Hayward, Wisconsin earlier this year, and we went fishing there, and my kids really liked it. So now that we're getting closer to get out of this pandemic.
I couldn't get my kids into any of that, Vigs.
No, my kids loved it. We had successful fishing trip. Everyone caught a fish on the first day. So that was great. Second day, really my daughter caught the first fish of the day, and she's like, all right, I'm done. I've achieved fishing. I've unlocked my badge. I caught a fish both days. She's like, she's 7. So she's like, I checked it. Whereas my son is like, one more fish, one more cast, one more leech, one more night crawler.
My youngest daughter was into fishing a little bit, but her first fish was a northern that was huge, just out of nowhere in Eden Prairie. Just at a small, I think it was small, one of those little fishing docks that had in Eden Prairie, all those little lakes. And
well, the state record is over in like Nokomis or something.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. The other one doesn't fish at all. What can you do?
Yeah. My kids are excited to get back after it this year. I caught my biggest muskie actually fishing for walleye. I had a jig in like 30 feet of water. We were fishing off like a brush pile, and it got hit, and I was like, oh, I got the brush pile.
Oh.
And then it started moving on me. I was like, oh, this is not the brush pile. And after like 40 minutes later, we landed. It was like a 48-inch muskie.
Oh.
And it came up. It wasn't like your typical muskie. It was kind of silvery. I was like, it's not a sturgeon or anything. I was like, no, but it's a huge, ugly muskie.
That's a cool thing. They're all just different. Every muskie is so unique. Colors. Mm-hmm. Do your kids ice fish at all?
We haven't done that. We're pretty busy with the hockey stuff.
Yeah,
because I'm coaching, so it's 2 different teams, and we're short coaches. And
how much has not playing hockey allowed you to kind of do these things now, Jack? I mean, take advantage before you get married, but it's like it's kind of opened it up for you.
Your gal seems outdoorsy, though.
Yeah, that was. Oh man, was that nice? So first year pro, and the season got canceled. We were set for a playoff run, and the season got canceled. So go back, and I caught the tail end of ice fishing, and then signed another contract to go back. And I was able to. The season was supposed to start in December or January, so I was able to enjoy September, October, all the December, or all the deer hunting, all the duck hunting, and do all that stuff, and do some ice fishing, and then. Season, we were getting closer, and I was like, do I want to do this? like I'm having so much fun, like living this life. Do I want to do this? And with pandemic and everything, getting dressed at home, going to the rink to have to do that kind of sucked the joy out of everything. And I was having so much fun doing this stuff. So that was one of the biggest reasons I retired, is like had a contract, was ready to rock, but was liking my other life a little too much and being around my family, and stuck with it. So it's been so nice being able to get out there, spend so much time with my dad. Like my dad, you know, he had a long coaching career, long playing career. He didn't get to do any of this stuff until he was 55. And so now he's been able to do it, and I've been able to do it. So try to enjoy it as much as possible with him.
Didn't he have a store in Chanhassen?
Gold Medal Sports.
Yeah, I was sad to see that go because it was one of the few places I could get my skates sharpened.
Yep. Gosh, he opened that.
There is there's another shop over there that just does sharpening now, though.
Yeah, just as sharpening. Yep.
Well, now
And
a
my
lot of
dad would
shops
go
have
back
the Sparks now, the automatic ones.
Yeah. They
Do
suck.
they-
They,
see,
they get the job done, but they suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I ever play again, need to find a good skate sharpener. I could just bring them down with you.
I haven't got my skate sharpened in, man, since I finished playing, I think so. And I still skate on them. I think you just kind of learn to deal with it. You just don't turn to sharp.
True, but the thing is too is once you play on outdoor ice, it can really rip them up pretty quickly.
Yep.
I mean, even if you've got the nice skate, I mean, you got the really soft blades, obviously. But I've noticed just a casual little skater on, you know, a skating rink, or if like you go to those outdoor, like in Centennial Lakes or something like those open little skates, it's gonna kill the edges. And a fat guy like me goes down really easy.
I played a goalie for our beer league team this week. So I subbed for it, and I was going to sub for it. And they said, "Hey, we don't have a goalie. Like, do you have any buddies that can play?" Game is at 10 o'clock. No, nobody.
Shearhorn's like, I'm done with that.
Yeah. He wants to skate out. He wants to skate out.
No. And when I wasn't playing, when I was training and COVID was not so hot, MAP hockey was going. So I was coaching there. And whenever they didn't have a goalie for the high school sessions, I would throw on Kent Patterson's gear and play goalie. So I kind of figured it out a little bit. So I went and subbed for our beer league and played goalie. We won. I gave up one goal with 5 minutes left. And my skates are wrecked, though, from banging on the post, probably.
Did you love playing goalie, though?
I love it so much. I honestly now would rather play goalie than player. Like,
well, for one thing, you're out there the entire game.
Yeah. Does the name Paul Deutsch ring a bell at all? He's one of my dad's buddies. Played beer league all of his life and got sick of goalies not showing up. So he finally said, "Screw it. I'm going to get goalie gear. I'm going to be the goalie." So he was the goalie. And being buddies with my dad, he ended up being a practice goalie for the Wild for like scratches and stuff like that. That led to they had a emergency goalie that needed to be called.
That was him?
That was him. Went from a beer league goalie to just pick the pads up, and he ended up signing an emergency contract and taking warm-ups for the Wild. So I was like, that's my dream right now. That's that's what I'm working for.
Yeah, I've always wanted to just because I was the goalie in the basement when we play, you know, with the closet door as the goalie. But I've never put the pads on. It would have been fun. My damn focus here, damn computer. There we go.
It's a blast.
Yeah, one of my squirt teams I played on, I was kind of the goalie for that team. And we had a really good team. We had a bunch of kids who missed tryouts, and so we were a C team, and we had a bunch of kids who probably a couple of them should have been playing B or A or something like that. And that was a lot of fun as goalie. But then the next year I went to another team, and it was just a bad team. And every time I played goalie, it'd be like 20 breakaways a game. And I was like, done with this. I'm no longer going to play goalie.
So like
20 breakaways is not okay.
That was like Eric Shearhorn our sophomore year.
Exactly.
You know, he was commenting on Kyle Connor, and he's like, he scored so many goals against me. Because he played him in juniors as well. And he's just like, And then somebody in the chat actually added up how many goals he had given up to Kyle Connor, and it was like, oh my god, it wasn't that bad until what was it? Connor's. It was a Big Ten tournament, and
it was like 3 points a game, which
That was
is
unstoppable.
yeah, he was good.
yeah, terrible player. Yeah. A few weeks ago, I got to meet Jim Craig from 1982. Was starstruck. Obviously, your dad's on that team, but have you ever been starstruck by an athlete that you had ever met? That you're like, holy crap.
Yeah, once, and it happened very recently, actually. And I'm blessed to, have been able to grow up around NHL players, and it wasn't like starstruck. It was just like, oh, that's Boogie, that's Derek Bugard, super cool guy, but I was in Kansas City. My girlfriend was working in Kansas City last year. I went down there for Valentine's Day. We go to a nice restaurant and we're eating, and this guy walks in, and I go, holy shit, that's Patrick Mahomes. And I go, oh no, that's not Patrick Mahomes. Never mind. And then behind him though, I go, holy shit, that's Travis Kelce. And it was Travis Kelce, and he was with some Mahomes lookalike. And they came and sat down 10 feet away from us. But I was like getting these butterflies for this star football player. And I'm like, what is this feeling that I'm getting right now? Like, it bugged me. I'm like, I don't get that. Like, I've never been starstruck, but I was like, holy crap. So my buddies were like, go ask for a picture. I'm like, you idiots, it's Valentine's Day. I'm not going to be that
guy. Honestly, I have noticed over the years, the hockey guys are just a little more down to earth. They don't seem unapproachable to me. I mean, no matter who it may be. But it was just something about Jim Craig, maybe because I'm older. I remember that how big of an impact he had on hockey back in those days. It was just kind of like, okay, I have to get a picture with him, because if I don't, I'm gonna kick myself for the rest of my life. And to see him, at Mariucci, and as he's going off, he's like, can I give him, the Gopher goalies, have a good game, give him a high five type of thing. It was just kind of a cool thing for me. So, because like you said, Vigs, we've seen a lot of future NHLers come through here, whether it's the home team or the road team. So it's never been a big deal, because hockey guys are different. But for me, it was just a little different in that situation. And that's like what it is for you. It wasn't a hockey player.
Yep.
It was a football player.
Yeah. That's weird. I mean, those college players too, it's like it's before their time. You don't know if that guy's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. He could be. And it'd be you probably get butterflies when you meet him again. I haven't seen Rem in a while. Maybe I'll get butterflies next time I see him.
That was a nice hat trick the other night. That was nice.
Yeah, it's so cool. So cool to see the guys you played with having success. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Rem was always a fun player, even watching practice, just because the hand-eye stuff that he could pull off during drills and stuff. And, he's oftentimes, I watched a band in practice the other day, and these kids are just coming down on 2-on-0s, and it's like they're not taking it very seriously. They're shooting the puck, but they're not really shooting to score. They're not really focusing on it. Like, you'd watch Rem, and it'd be like 60% of the shots when he comes in all alone, he'd score. Yep. Like, he was just very focused, very detailed, very good hands. Like, a pass wouldn't be perfect. He'd handle it and get a shot off. And it's just like, I thought he'd get a chance with expansion, and it's just cool to see.
It's just work ethic. It's his work ethic. Like, I look back and like the amount of time I spent on the ice at XL and stuff, like half the time I spent far around. If I was focusing like Rem Pitlick, I'd probably have 40 points in the NHL by now. But that's how it works. That guy had a work ethic like nobody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember asking him, I was like, well, being at Shattuck, you get enough ice time? He's like, no, I did not get enough ice time. I was like, they kind of tell you that you're going to get plenty of ice time and you'll get access to the rink, but you don't. It's always being used by someone.
He would stay on the ice for 40 minutes after practice and after morning skate, you got to pull them off the ice. Dude, save your legs. You're going to play 30 minutes tonight.
Yeah, something else.
Like some guys are just different.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack, I asked Eric this too. What's current recent alum feedback for media, fans? You know, we're only down to 21 people watching right now. It's a smaller crowd. You can open up a little bit and cut a vein with us. You know,
What do you mean
what's the
feedback?
perspective?
Like
Like
on
what? Like when
what's
you're a
going
player,
on?
I don't think you're reading stuff all the time, but like you
I was.
pick up some of the. You were.
Every single game, I'd go home. I'd sit on the couch for an hour and read every single reply to every single tweet. And you can see, I'm active on Twitter now, but
Right.
it was fuel.
You know, I think what your Twitter profile picture for a while was like from one of the live videos I had done. And you're like
This
doing
one.
this, or yeah, that one, yeah, you're doing that, yeah, you.
Yeah, some guys would give me shit for being active on Twitter and stuff like that too. And like, I was like, man, give the fans some love. Like, give them what they want. But yeah, I would go home and read every single one, and it was motivation for the next night. Like, I would even this weekend. I thought like preparation. I was like, okay, Friday night, Gophers win. You know, they have that final Gophers win. Here's the tweet. Let's look at what the interactions are, see what the replies are, the retweets and stuff.
Oh boy,
It's that number. All right, Gophers lose. Let's see what the replies, the amount. And I'm like, okay, these people are bashing the team on social media when they lose. Where are you guys when they win?
mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest thing that
Facebook,
bugs me as a
the Gopher
player.
Hockey Facebook page is just brutal.
Ugh.
I mean, some of the people responding there are just, and a lot of times it's the same old people who just watch part of a game, are just chiming in. Oh, I couldn't find the game on TV, or it's just, I'm like, shut the fuck up, people.
Well,
Come on.
I always tell Deutsch is like, those people aren't fans. Like those people are coming there to basically just
Stir the
rip
pot. Yeah.
and stir. Like whatever that is. I don't get it. Like I'm a season ticket holder for football. And when I was at the Bowling Green game and it's homecoming and there's just all these people who don't come to games a lot, but they came to that one. Like just the stuff I was hearing, I was like, I kind of felt embarrassed to have my kids at the game. You know?
Yep.
I mean, those people aren't fans.
No, I haven't gone to a Gopher game, and I don't watch a lot of hockey because I watch it as like video, like I'm breaking down everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a tough time watching hockey because I get frustrated watching it.
And
I
you just were in it too, so maybe you kind of need some of that time away, so you can actually sit down and enjoy a game.
That like yeah, in college too, I couldn't watch hockey. I break it apart. I'm like I'm watching video. I can't enjoy it for what it is unless it's playoffs. But I haven't been to a Gopher game because I know if I go, one, I'm going to watch it like I'm breaking it apart. I'm going to get frustrated. But two, some jackass sitting, in 2 rows over to me is going to be saying something, and I'm going to want to go over there and grab him by the collar and be like, "You don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. Like, watch the game." So,
My wife gets worried about me sometimes at football games because, your fan who doesn't know anything will rip the quarterback or, rip the coach or whatever. And it's like, there's so much more happening out there that you're not seeing or you don't want to see.
I plead guilty to that though. Like watching Tanner Morgan play quarterback, I'm yelling at the TV like I know what the hell I'm talking. I played 5th grade football. That's it. And my dad's yelling at the TV too. Oh, I give it to my dad so much. He's just yelling at the TV. I'm like, Dad.
And Tanner Morgan's coming back for another season of football.
I saw that.
Did you see that they fired the offensive coordinator though?
Thank
Yeah.
God.
So like there was things happening this season, Gopher football, that were just making it really hard for him to be successful. Like it was, I mean, I coached high school football for 10 years. I played at St. Olaf. I know a little bit about football. I know what's happening with coverages and schemes and game plans. And you can tell when someone comes into a game with a certain game plan and then just doesn't make any adjustments. And like you can see, it's like, okay, I know what you're trying to do. This is what they're doing. You're not going to help yourself. You're putting yourself into a very small window to succeed. And football is very much an X's and O game. Hockey is a little more free flowing. Like you can create things out of a system or out of chaos. There's not a lot of chaos in football. Everything starts and stops every snap. So if you're not in a good spot to succeed, it's going to be hard for you to create something, especially if you're not Patrick Mahomes. Like Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, they can create so much success out of chaos. Very few people can do that.
Yeah. That's the mobile quarterback is so sexy now too. Like that's what people want. That's what I want too. Like I remember the Ohio State game at the beginning of the year, and I could be talking out of my hoo-ha, like I don't know what I'm talking about. But like, the play actions, and it looked like Morgan could run for 20 yards every single play. I'm screaming at my TV, like, just keep the ball once. Keep the ball once.
The problem is he looks like he can go for 20, but it's really going to be like 5.
Exactly.
Because like CJ Stroud probably runs like a 4.6, 4.7. Tanner Mogren, maybe a 4.9 type guy.
Yeah.
Maybe 4.8 on a good day with a good slow thumb. But the D end, the D tackle is probably just as fast as he is.
Yeah.
And that's what stinks, though, because that offense is kind of built on the threat of a quarterback running.
It is, but it isn't.
The way they were running it, sometimes he'd fake hand it off. He's like, oh, I'm going to run. No, I'm going to hand it. It's like.
No, they're trying to stress the edge players about whether they crash down and take away the inside cut on the run, or whether they play the outside stretch. And then by the way the linebacker plays, there should either be a slant there, but then there's also backside pressure that can come. Wisconsin was really good about doing that. And then it takes away your time.
Yeah, it's like
there's just so many.
We need to get you. Do we need to start a Gopher Football Live podcast? Viggs?
I've been on the Gopher Football podcast a couple times. So. There's a lot of chess pieces going in place there that the average fan, unless they've game planned and schemed and figured out blocking schemes against defenses, you just don't think about right away. It's a hard game, much like hockey. I'm sure I get stuff wrong with the game all the time because, like, I know my basic forechecks, I know my basic, breakout strategies, I know, some of the patterns you can get into, but like I'm not in the modern coach. I'd love to sit in on film and just be like, okay, what is actually happening here? I loved that Don and Bob let the media come to practice because I can see, especially during the special team time, what they're scouting for and what they're planning to do. And like, here's the point of emphasis. Because that's, one of the best ways. And then you can see it on the ice. Be like, okay, that's what they were talking about in practice. I can see what they're doing to Quinn Hughes here. A lot of fun.
Yeah. And they did a pretty good job of shutting Quentin Hughes down.
Yeah. Good game plan.
Yeah, he was very successful against most of the teams, and he didn't have that success against Minnesota.
If I remember right, it was like on the PK, the forwards did a really good job of attacking him as he got to the blue line and then funneling him to the red line and not letting him come back to the middle. And like once you started doing that to him, no one had really successfully done that to him before. He didn't have like a plan B. He's like, oh crap, this guy's fast enough to keep up with me. I ran out of real estate. I have to give away the puck. And then Michigan has to restart, And it's like when you watch practice, you see like that's the game plan. You see it actually happen. You're just like, these coaches kind of know what they're talking about. It's kind of fun. I always save that until after the game, of course, but it's something to watch for.
I miss Scout PK. That's a big. Oh yeah, that was one of the golden moments. Look forward to that at the end of the practice. Shutting the guys down.
You're supposed to do this. This is what they do.
Well,
I'm looking forward to this.
To simulate it in practice. Like, who's going to simulate Quinn Hughes coming up the ice? Because you have like Sheehy's on your top power play, but he's on your top PK too. So who's going to simulate Quinn Hughes when Tyler Sheehy's on the PK? So it's always funny. You're playing like against your, maybe your scratch guys and stuff, and you're just kicking their asses on the PK. So it helps you, but it doesn't help you.
I remember like there was a little bit for the scout power play was like Ryan Johnson and Jackson Lacombe and like Brodzinski and Nelson and maybe like another big guy. And I was like, God, this power play looks almost as good as the one that's like the first real team power play. Cause like the D were switching. They like felt so much freedom to like try stuff out and make mistakes. I was like, God, they look really creative. Like they're not being coached at all and they're just figuring it out. They're all trading places and the killers are having a tough time against it. It's like, this is fun to watch.
I saw someone in chat earlier saying, are we going to get another guy who can actually hit a one-timer? We've had certain guys over the years who have just been really good at it. And right now we really don't have that. Do we, Viggs?
I don't think they practice it very much. Like,
well, maybe they know they don't have a guy who can do it, so they
don't
kind
know.
of avoid it.
Like I saw Sampo score probably like 10 one-timers in junior, and he never even got the chance to do it in college. Like he got to play the off wing like a handful of times. Same with Reedy. And I remember asking Reedy about it. He's like, yeah, I can play the off wing. Just give me the chance. You could tell like he's just like, I wish I could do that more. And I think Sampo the same thing. It's like you kind of get pigeonholed in a certain spot. Okay. It's hard to adjust. But I mean, you look at the NHL, the one-timer is such a threat, but you haven't seen it at Minnesota really since like Potolny and Bugstad and
Ryan Potolny, I would say.
Yeah, Ryan Potolny.
Ryan Potolny was lights out.
He was like the college Ovechkin. Like he just set up at that dot in the top of the circle, and I gotta say he had 15 goals.
He may have had that, and that season he had 38 goals. Still, no one has gotten to that many goals since then.
Yeah,
and that was,
it was Connor Riley.
Connor, before all of his knee injuries, he was like he was going to be the next one. Yeah. Too bad about Connor. He's a good kid and a lot of stress there on the knee.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
I don't know. I mean, do you get any sense, Jack, about like guys developing one-timers in college? And
it's I couldn't take a one-timer, like straight up. Growing up, like never. I don't think I practiced it that often, and I was a big guy, but I wasn't necessarily that strong either, so I was never good at it. But I'm looking at that comment, like watch bombs on St. Cloud and stuff. It's like it is weird. You think when I think back about playing those guys, it's like, man, these guys would launch bombs on us. Like, and then I think about the Gophers, like you're saying, I don't recall that us having that at all.
And they get through.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a frustration with, I would say, Gopher defensemen for quite a while, Viggs. It's like people, they get that open shot on the power play, even up at top, and it's not getting through. It's getting blocked.
I mean, everybody on Gopher
that was a favorite complaint.
Would like to give Robbie Stucker a hard time, but he was like the 1D who could almost 90% of the time his shot would get to the net. Like, for whatever reason, he had the vision to, like, get pucks through.
Okay.
Meanwhile, everybody else was putting it into shin pads and things. But he had some sort of vision about how to get pucks through. Somehow.
It's an art. We would bitch all day long when I was in school about our D getting shots blocked. I don't know if you guys knew this, but my 1 year pro, I played D.
Okay.
So, and I'm back there, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get shots through. I was firing them into shin pads all day long. Like, it is tough. It is so tough. And forwards give them crap, and fans, you can't see it. But as soon as you get down there, and it looks like you have so much room, but as soon as you get down there, you got 5 bodies stacked up in your shooting lane. It is so damn hard to get it through. It is an art.
I think part of it is being unpredictable about where you shoot from. I mean, I noticed this probably the most with Ryan Johnson. He gets kind of robotic with how he catches the puck and what he does next. And it really showed up, I think, in the I'm looking at the schedule. St. Cloud. Like St. Cloud had that scouted. Like this is where he goes when he gets the puck. And you have to be unpredictable. Like you can't, like if you're a poker player, I don't know if you guys play poker, but if you always raise with like aces or kings as your hole cards, eventually every time you raise, people are just like, oh, you've got aces or kings.
Yep.
Like you got to raise sometimes with 7-8 suited, or you got to raise sometime with 10-8 looking for some sort of crazy flop. You got to do something unpredictable so that you create a different angle, a different lane for yourself, different timing to when you get your shot off. And I just think that we get so caught up in watching clips, like we don't see trends. And that's a trend thing that happens, is predictability. That's a football thing, I think.
Here you go, doing the damn football stuff again.
But it applies to stuff like that.
It does, yeah.
You're right. Corey just commented to watch Owen Powers this week, and it'll be like Eric Johnson. Yeah, that's why he's a first rounder.
Number one overall, Jack.
Because it's a gift. Well, it's not a gift, but it's a talent that you acquire and work hard for. But it's not everybody can do it. That's for sure.
Well, I remember Nate Schmidt coming back and practicing, and it's like, oh my God, like his shot is so much harder than anyone else on the ice.
Yeah,
and you're just like, that's the guy who can tee it up and one time it from the point against Wisconsin and take the lead.
We got to win this year. I love the Michigan series. It's always my favorite, Vigs, just because it's you're not going to get that completely shut down style defense. It's just always a fun series. It's been fun for me ever 25 years. I've loved games with Michigan, and that's why I'm thinking it's just like I love that they were at North Dakota last weekend. The speed limit was up. They were in a pressure situation. That's why I think this weekend could be good. And the only thing is, if they do have a great weekend, Vigs, they got that month off.
It's okay to go into break feeling good about yourself.
True, but
maybe Jack will go into break with his big buck, and he'll be able to go into the holidays feeling good. Maybe he'll send Brian Deutsch some venison or something.
I just got my bear back. I shot a bear earlier this year.
Really?
Yeah. Just got,
Jeez.
Oh my gosh, freaking 60 pounds of meat back.
How does bear taste? How's bear taste?
People say it tastes like crap, but it kind of depends on what the bear's been eating.
Makes sense.
If you have a bear that's been eating, roadkill, it's going to taste like crap. But the bear I shot was a corn bear, basically. It's all cornfield around, so it's been eating corn, so it tastes pretty good. Made a steak the other day out of it, and it not bad.
There you go.
Remind me now, the Michigan and the Gophers trophy. I mean, the Gophers have retained that for a while, haven't they? Or at least they've held on to it for majority of the past few years.
I think they've held on to it. They don't publicize it like they do any of the other trophies for whatever reason. Hockey doesn't make a big deal of it like football does with the axe and stuff. But I think
and it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't they even have that back in the College Hockey Showcase or something close to it, Vigs? They had something.
Yeah, I feel like it's more a thing that they put in the coach's office. I think they'd probably get more. Yeah.
But half the guys are like, what is this?
Right.
It'd be pretty cool if he skated over the other team's bench and you can take it. But it's also, you're playing a series. And so.
Well, like Army, Navy, and Air Force, they play for the Commander-in-Chief trophy. You have to beat the other academies to get it. So that's a series trophy. When I played at St. Olaf, we had a GOAT trophy for football.
A GOAT trophy?
Which it's one of the oldest traveling trophies in college sports, by the way. It's up there with like the jug and stuff. But the basketball team also has a GOAT trophy. And you have to sweep the other team to get it back. But you only have to split to retain it. So it's just like, the hockey trophy with Michigan. It's like, there's a series going on, and it was a really big deal for the football team and the basketball team to retain both GOAT trophies at the same time. You have a GOAT party then.
I still want to know what happened to the DQ Cup. Where is that trophy? That one disappeared. I mean, the North Star Cup, I believe, is at Duluth has it right now or whatever. That wasn't it, but the DQ Cup, it was.
I think a lot of people think Potonli still has it.
That's the disappointment for the North Star Cup. Like, what a great idea.
Spitefulness. The other fan bases never bought into the fact that it was good for them to support it.
Yeah.
And if they sold tickets, they got the revenue. So if UMD sold 4,000 seats for that event, UMD got revenue for 4,000 seats. I don't think the fans ever understood that, and they thought it was all Minnesota, and it was all Minnesota money, and it was their thing, but it wasn't. Like, for as much shit as Don gets, he has kind of the whole of college hockey in mind when he does stuff like this.
Yeah.
And the other schools almost just didn't believe him. So it's too bad.
Yeah, we all know Don has a lot of his faults, but like you said, he does care about the whole of the game a lot more than people think he does.
Yep.
Just might not have the social skills that a lot of people like, but
that too.
That too. It took Don a long time to warm up to me, so
it did. And then he's like, "Oh, you kind of know your hockey." You're like, "Yeah."
Takes a while.
I mean, I played enough beer league games. I know what I'm talking about. Well, you played real high. How far did you play, V? You played into high school?
Yeah, I played high school, and then I coached for a little bit. So.
Okay. Yeah,
Jack, you got to chime in on this chat here. I see you investigating.
Yeah, I'm checking it out. I mean, yeah, I think it should be that 5 minutes, 5-on-5, then 5 3-on-3, 100%. I've seen people saying, like in the NHL, they need to go 3-on-3 until they score. And I had an argument with some older gentlemen a few weeks ago that they thought that is how it should be, and I was like, well, injury management and everything like that. And they're like, well, they get paid $5 million a year. Well,
not all of them.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're not paying them to get injured either. So what are they worth when they're not playing? So, but yeah, 10 minutes like that, I 100% it should be like that.
Veeks, we talked about the win at St. Cloud in overtime, as controversial as it was. What'd you say? It was 55% in the pairwise. It was
55-45. It basically didn't mean anything. Yeah. But the players, though, they think, oh, yeah, we won. And St. Cloud's like, yeah, we lost. I mean, yes and no. Didn't mean much.
Yeah, that's where I still kind of like the older rules with, league. Like, if you win it in overtime, you get the full amount of points.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know NHL went away from that. They tried to do as much parity as possible. I always love that about college hockey is that you get that 5 minutes of 5-on-5. If you score there, you know what? You get all the points. They get nothing.
Well, I remember Bob talking about his favorite moments in Grand Forks, and he's like, I remember one Saturday up there, we needed 1 point out of the game for whatever reason in the standings. I don't know if it was to win the league or get home ice or whatever, but he's like, we needed 1 point. Game goes into overtime. It's like, I was feeling it, just hoping we could hang on for 5 minutes and get the tie, because it meant something. Because if they lost, they didn't get anything. Now it's like, well,
you've already got the point.
You already got it, so it doesn't matter now. But for him, it's like that 5 minutes is like, hang on, we're in Grand Forks and they want to beat us. It means something.
I mean, I love the 3-on-3 overtime. It's fun.
It's fun to watch.
But I do miss the old days, and it's not WCHA. I just miss kind of the old rules, like you said, maybe play the 5-on-5.
Well, it was like that for a few years, wasn't it? When I was in college.
Yeah.
When did the rules switch?
Just this last year, I think
season, wasn't it?
Yeah,
2 years ago. Yeah, they switched it to 3-on-3, and now they tweaked it just a little bit. But before it was 5-on-5, then 3-on-3. I remember the Ohio State games. I feel like there's like almost like 3 games that year that went 5-on-5 to 3-on-3, and a couple of them went to shootouts, and they were all just like super, super tight.
And Minnesota was really bad at shootouts for a while, Viggs. It was our boy Nate probably has all the stats in that.
Yeah.
Gopher State, he's got Nate Wells, he's got the stats and all that stuff.
I guess they don't matter until they do for the extra points and stuff.
But it adds up at the end of the season.
No.
And you know, a lot, you know, the coaches want you to build that team, like right now, Viggs. But with the way the team is right now, just a little above 500, it's those losses that could come to haunt them at the end of the season unless they start to dominate a little more. I mean, we were talking at the beginning of the season that pairwise shouldn't matter this year. This is a good team, and they just haven't quite put it together. And like you said, yeah, it might. You do want to build, but you obviously those early season losses could really affect them.
Yeah, I think they're going to be okay. I mean, they're as long as they play in the top 3 of the Big Ten the rest of the way, they're going to be fine for pairwise. I mean, they've got a win over North Dakota. They have that slight edge, or they, you know, it helps that they beat St. Cloud in the overtime, I guess, a little bit. You know, Duluth is going to be good. They're the number 1 team in the country, so getting swept by them doesn't hurt that much. They're going to be fine. You know, they beat Mercyhurst for those 2 games, so they get all those comparisons. Like, they're going to be okay. They got the number 2 strength of the schedule in the country, and they're 9-7.
Yep. Tim, yes, I was on that team. I recall the penalty shot, I think, with a minute 30 left in the game. Penn State scores to go up, and then
crazy game. It was a crazy third period in overtime.
Yeah, and again, one of my favorite college moments that I didn't touch the ice for, which is completely fine and shows how cool the game was. Clue scored with what? Yeah, like 1 second left in the game, and then Pitlick in OT. I think it was for a hat trick too. Maybe I could be making that up, but yeah,
I don't remember.
What a game! Playing in Penn State too. I mean, not like one of our biggest rivals when I was there, but what a cool place to play. Their student section was always ready to rock.
Yeah, well, they're right on the glass. They're right there. I wish Mariucci would figure out a way to get those kids right on the glass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because every other arena does it, and it's like, oh, don't touch the glass. Don't want to pound on it. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
The glass can handle 95-mile-an-hour pucks coming at it. It's just fine. Let the kids have some fun. Let the kids be kids.
Let them be kids. Let them be, yeah.
And the students have really kind of showed up this year, Viggs.
Students have been great. Like football, hockey, like they've been really good. You know, you got these kids, they saw that good first PJ Flex season for them as freshmen, and they showed up again. They showed up for the in-state games this year. I hope second half of the year they all become hockey fans. It's a different building with them in it.
100%.
And then that's the sad thing. I really wish we could fill up Mariucci, because when it is full, holy crap. It is loud in there. I mean, it doesn't even have to be that full. A lot of times I will be shooting along the glass, along the penalty box side, and all that sound just comes right down. And it is so loud when you're on the glass. I literally wear these earbuds with the noise canceling on, and it's still loud. Otherwise, I go home with ringing in my ears, just from the fans. What are you going to show us, Viggs?
Yeah, here's that game.
Okay, let me go in closer.
Minnesota, Penn State.
Can you
February
zoom in a bit?
18th.
Smirnoff. Oh, that kid.
Freaking Smirnoff.
One of my favorite.
I thought the goal was with like 6 seconds or 4 seconds. There you go.
4 seconds.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines from Scott Bell, as I was interviewing him, asking about, Casey maybe making the jump to the NHL. And he's like, it's a big difference when you're at Penn State and you're worried about Smirnoff jumping on the ice. And then you get to the NHL and all of a sudden you got Crosby and Malkin jumping on the ice. You got to be ready for that. And it's a big leap.
A little different.
Yeah, because Pavlichev for them, that giant Russian.
Oh, he's like that 6'8" kid, isn't he?
Yeah. And I remember he did really well against Minnesota. He was a tough player.
Smirnoff retired? I was just looking at his hockey DB. It looks like it.
He had a good
crazy.
splash in the game, but
He had 47 points his freshman year.
Jeez.
Holy crap. And then 27, 22, 19 just slowly went downhill.
As Viga and I part of the media, I don't ask much questions, but I must say I always loved Justin Clues because he would tell you how he felt.
Yeah.
And he dropped a couple S-bombs in, post-game interviews. And I remember athletic directors 10 feet away, and he's dropping, we played like shit. I'm like... But he just so much passion, and I'm sure he heard about it from Deutsch or someone else later on. Obviously, I run a fan website, and the fans love that passion. And boy, does that kid have it.
100%. No, he wasn't afraid to tell you how it is, and that's one of the most respected players I've ever played with for sure.
And obviously, you guys are told, don't say something stupid. I mean, obviously, don't pull a Thomas Vanek during an interview and drop an F-bomb. I mean...
Cole Keefe, did you hear that on K-Fan?
No.
The tight end, Oh.
I know who Cole Keefe is, but
yeah,
I think I missed his interview.
Oh, I was driving home because I picked my sister and her husband off from the U on the way home. And yeah, he dropped an F-bomb on K-Fan live on the field. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Ko is a fun player to watch as an old offensive lineman. I love seeing people that just can punish defensive players like that. It's fun.
What was always great about the Vanek thing, though, is that it was pre-recorded. Back, in the FSN, they record. They would interview the player right after they came off the ice. So they interviewed him. So it was probably 30 or seconds or a minute before they actually came back from commercial and showed it. And both times, their people missed him. I just took the fucking puck up and just score whatever, and they missed it in recording. And then because I remember, Frank Mazzocco told me he thought he heard it live in his ear. I'm like, when it happened, he's like, well, they're gonna have to edit that. And then he heard it again. He's like, oh my gosh, that got through to the air. That's what made the Vanek thing so good, is because
that Austrian accent. It's hard to pick up.
Is that it? Because a lot of times they would do it live with you right after a period, but back then, a little timing was a little different, so they just recorded it real quick. Still made it to the air. Yeah, Clay Matvick was the interviewer on that one. Clay Matt looked stunned after he said that.
Jack, Jupe was kind of alluding to it with Clues. Do you think the public overvalues or maybe puts too big of a microscope on leadership within a team?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. He was our leader. The microscope was on him, and the player he was, as it should be for that guy. Other guys, maybe not the case. And there's so many guys that are leaders behind the scenes that are sophomores or juniors that might not have letters on their chest too, that the public doesn't realize how much of an impact and how much of a leadership they are in the locker room too. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I just think sometimes these teams can get rudderless where there's too many cliques of leaders.
Oh yeah.
And there's just not a cohesiveness to buy-in, to accountability, to something. And sometimes you can just kind of feel it that it's not right.
100%. I saw that, numerous years when I was there. It's a hockey team, but guys have their cliques on the teams. That's for sure. You have your, the stud players. Those guys are the best buddies. You're gonna have the fourth line players and the scratches. My roommates my senior year were Brock Couts, Ryan Norman, lived with Darian, lived with Kurt Simonson. None of those guys ever made the PP. Guys are living with guys that they play with and that are in a clique with. And it's super shitty to see because you can see it and you can feel it, and maybe some guys can't, but I definitely think that affects things.
it's a mystery sometimes. I tried to talk to a couple of like Sandlin about it and Jim Montgomery about it because they seemed to have it figured out when they were college coaches. Like I was trying to like, what's the magic formula for you either finding guys to do that or keep it sustained in your program? Because it's just like you interviewed the UMD guys like during their stretch there. And it's like when you talk to the seniors and the juniors, it's like they were all aligned with how things were going. And sometimes, I don't know, I talk to Gopher players and it's like you can just kind of tell that it's not, it's something.
Yeah, and I think it has to do with, Minnesota's always getting those blue chip players, right?
Right.
And those blue chip players congregate and kind of just get attracted to the other blue chip players that are there. And that'll kind of form where, as Duluth, you're still getting blue chip players, but it doesn't feel like they're kind of getting those players that the Michigan and the Minnesota are getting. So those guys are kind of on the same, same level, same playing field going in. And I think they kind of have better cohesiveness where I think at the you have guys going in that they know they're the shit. So they might, feel like they're the shit. So, and I think it does create that.
I don't know. I always think how to manage leadership on a team is so important, such a challenge, and also like a dark art. Like it's like, yeah, it's so hard to figure out because like you can't do mind control on people and say you have to do it this way. But if it's not going the right way, like you're going to be lost. It's like no one's in charge at that point. It's the cliche, coaches coach. When coaches are leading, it's not a good thing. You need to be a player-led team.
All right, guys. I got to call it a night.
Yep, probably good. We should let Jack go. He's probably got to go work tomorrow.
I do have work tomorrow. Yep.
Luckily, I don't have to go anywhere. I work right in this seat, so it's nice.
Yeah.
Thanks
for coming on, Jack. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it, man. We'll get you on again. We'll get you on again.
Would love to give another breakdown and preview. I had a ton of fun. It was good reconnecting with you guys. So
I need more X's and O's from an expert too. So feel free to let me know when I get wrong.
I'll bring my whiteboard next time. All right.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Thanks everyone for watching. We're going to bed now.